Oh, good morning, everybody. The agony of victory. It's the Mike Missanelli Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. And listen, they won a game, okay? And I don't want to lose sight of that they won the game. And there were many games last year where you go, well, they probably shouldn't have won this game. They skated by. They won the game. And that's what happened yesterday. They outlasted a bad football team because they made plays that the bad football team was incapable of making. But between that, there's so much to decipher and talk about what their decisions were yesterday. So let's just go over the good, because the game savers were as follows. Sidney Brown hit on the kickoff. They get the ball. They score out of that. Devontae Smith's amazing catch for the touchdown. Saquon Barkley going crazy again. And I got to be honest with you, in my life, it was the most athletic move that I've ever seen on a football field. Now, you can go to basketball and see all these amazing highlights in the game of basketball. I have never seen an athlete capable of spinning, being in a position where his body is backwards, leaping as your body is in backwards and going forward to hurdle a guy. I've never seen it in my life. It's the most athletic, amazing play I've ever seen. And then, of course, the Dean interception, which seals the game. Now, the weird stuff probably overshadows the good stuff, the game-saving stuff. Because for the life of me, I don't understand how a head coach can think that at 16-0, 17-0 is not the better risk reward than trying to go for it for a 2-point conversion. 17 points makes it a 3-score game. What does 18 do for you? Like, what are you thinking that you get to 18 and somehow that's going to benefit you more than getting to 17? I just don't understand what the thinking is there. I don't understand going for it 4th and 3 at the Jacksonville 22 and not kicking a field goal. I don't understand like the fake tush push and throwing it out of that formation. There's so many things that I just don't understand about this game, and yet I'm overpowered by the fact that it was a win. So I can only complain so much about what happened in that game yesterday. Other than that, if that was a better team, they would have lost the game. And they probably should have lost it anyway, because the quarterback made a bonehead throw and threw it too high to a running back who's not a receiver, who's not capable of going up to fight for a ball and getting airborne and snatch that. So listen, this is up to the fans today to actually decipher what that game was and get inside it, sort it out, and let us know. For the time being, we'll go to Bill Colarulo, who I call around here Mr. Football. Mr. Football, what did you think about this?
You're right, Mike. It's a weird feeling today because there is a lot of good to take from it. This Philadelphia Eagles are 6-2.
Much good.
They've won 4 games in a row. And the way that game started, you're feeling great. The defense was absolutely dominant to start that game. It took until about 9 minutes in the third quarter for the Jags to have more yards than Saquon Barkley had individually. They had about 30-something yards with 9 minutes left in the third quarter, and you're seeing great play from the Kobe Dean. Zach Bond looks like an absolute stud at linebacker. This guy could be a Pro Bowler at linebacker, and he's never played the position before. Jalen Hurts, another game with no turnovers. He had close to 300 total yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. That's now 4 games in a row without a turnover. No coincidence, 4 wins in a row. Saquon Barkley is the greatest running back I've ever seen. That's not an exaggeration. He is the greatest running back I have ever seen, and it was fitting that he did all of that on LaShawn McCoy's day, because McCoy may have been the best running back I've seen in an Eagles uniform. Saquon has topped that, and it's not even close. That's all the good. Now, I've been on this station. I've defended Nick Serriani. I was in support of him coming back. I talked about all he does is win. He now gets his 40th win in the regular season, the fastest coach to ever do it. And yet I'm sitting here saying, have I been wrong about this guy? Is this guy an idiot? Because you look at the 6 decisions he made. There were 6 decisions that you can question, and 3 of them that you highlighted in your opening are inexcusable. You can't, when you have an opportunity to make a 2-score game a 3-score game by simply kicking an extra point, you do it. When you have an opportunity on a 4th and 3 to kick a field goal and make a 1-score game a 2-score game, you do it. Especially, you have to look across the sidelines at your opponent. You're not playing Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, so the need to be aggressive constantly because, we got to outscore these guys, it didn't exist when you're going up against the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. There was no intellect in Nick Sirianni's decisions. So now I sit here and people in the chat are already asking, he better not sing Sirianni Love. No, we will not be singing Sirianni Love today because this is another win that the Eagles had where they won in spite of their coach, very similar to the New Orleans Saints game.
Oof. Bill going off on Siri.
It's hard not to today, Mike. I mean, really, it's hard. Watching that game yesterday was one of the most frustrating things in the world to see it. And some of these decisions, why? Why is he outthinking himself? And then after the game, he's asked about it.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
And it's not, I got to have balls.
Yeah, he talked about balls.
That's not what it's about.
No, it's not. It's about coaching the game to the highest level. I just can't get past the 16-0. Go for it. Listen, I know you get enticed because you get closer to the goal line, but what's the risk reward doesn't work out in you. Like, what's the point of getting to 18 when 17 is perfectly fine? Those are the things. And here's where they're now starting to overthink it. They're faking tush pushes. Now listen to me. The push is an 88% success rate play. All right. If somebody stops it once, that doesn't mean they're going to stop it again. All of a sudden now they're going, there's teams are stopping. They're not stopping it. Maybe they stop it once. Go back to it. Why are you trying to outsmart yourself by throwing out of that tush push formation? And I just don't understand it. Like, they can't stop that play. 12% of the time they stop it. That's what is the percentage for throwing out of that? Like, if you've got a number and you're so into analytics, 88's a pretty good number, right? The number for the other play wouldn't be nearly as high as 88. So what are you doing here with this analytics?
And even if the tush push is 88% successful, which I'm not sure it's going to be anymore. It looks like the tush push may be broken.
I don't think so. Well, I just don't think it's really unstoppable. So a team's got lucky to stop it once.
Well, you don't have Goddard, who's usually pushing Jalen from behind. You clearly don't have Kelce anymore at center. But, okay, even if you're right, 88%, you look at that point in the game. 4th and short, 25-yard line. 22-16 game. There's only a minute 25 in the third quarter. You know what the Jags offense is. You kick a field goal, it's over. You turn it into a 2-score game. The risk reward isn't there because even if you get the first down and you go on to score a touchdown and you put up 7 points, it's a 29-16 game. It's still a 2-score game. So the risk reward going from making it 9 points to making it what? What would have been if they scored a touchdown?
You talking about when it was 22-16?
Sorry. If you score a touchdown at 22-16, it's a 9-point game. If you kick a field goal, no, I'm getting all my math.
Yeah, the possession.
What am I getting wrong here? 13 points. Yeah, 9 points to 13 points is what I mean. So either it's a 9-point game with a field goal, which is a 2-score game,
right,
or it's a 13-point game, which is a 2-score game.
And a 4th and 1 at the Jacksonville 25, he went for it again when a field goal would have put him up by 9. When the score would have made the score 25-16.
Exactly. So, but even if you are successful in the conversion on 4th down and you score a touchdown, it's still a 2-score game. Yeah. So why take the risk?
It doesn't make any sense, and it's a coach who's not thinking clearly, who's not that savvy in his thinking. Like and he's got 100 people that are advising him. Like I just don't understand it. Now let me just say one thing about Saquon, because as great as he is, he has made some boneheaded plays this year. It's really weird. He doesn't catch the ball against Atlanta. He fumbles in that game. And we'll talk about that because I thought it was a good call from the jump. And I know a lot of people don't. The way I saw it originally is that, he was hit by the defender on the ankle, but he held his position. Like, that didn't make him go down. What made him go down was that he bumped into his own player's leg, and that's when he fell. and fumbled it.
However, let's play it out a different scenario. Saquon doesn't fumble. He gets up, and he runs in for a touchdown, and they go back and review it. There is no way that play gets upheld. They would have ruled him down by contact.
I have no idea what they would have ruled. What I know is that was a fumble, in my interpretation. When I looked at the play, I said that was his own player that made him go down, not the guy who contacted him, the opponent who contacted him. But the fact that he cut off the run late in the game was puzzling to me. Like, he's a smarter player than that. He wasn't close enough to going out of bounds where he could have gone a couple of more yards before he went down. And in that kind of situation, he sets up a 3rd and 4 when it should have been a 3rd and 1.
And then they don't get it.
They don't get it. They say, then they run up the middle. They stop them. So now it's 4th and 4, which means you got to attempt a 57-yarder. Now, I would have attempted the 57-yarder. So I put the blame on Saquon there for not getting closer to the first down. I trust Elliott to kick a 57-yarder. Hey, he hit the post.
See, I didn't like that call.
Oh, I did.
I think Serriani, you punt, you pin him deep, you make them have to go 90-something yards.
If I didn't have a kicker who could make a 57-yarder, I might say the same thing. But he just hit it offline, and you can't blame the decision there. But we'll go over all of this because I want to hear what the people have to say about it. And we'll play the Serriani's You Got to Have Balls comment because I think I love hearing him talk macho. It makes me moist. 610-632-0975 is how you get in to the Mike Missanelli Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Mike Missanelli Show, 610-632-0975. Let's kick off this segment of the first hour with the bravado of Nick Serriani, who was asked about a lot of his decisions, which he terms being aggressive, and a lot of other people would term ridiculously stupid.
I'm the dumbest coach in the world.
So let's go to the post-game press conference where he's asked about why would you do such things?
We've been pretty good on those. Today, they did a good job. I'll look at everything, but everything in the moment, I'm always doing what I think's best for the football team. Today it didn't work. That's the way it goes. That's the hat I have to wear, right? When we get a fourth down and we convert a fourth down, nothing's really said. When we don't, I understand that there's going to be questions. But again, I have to be able to have the balls to do that, really, at the end of the day, and say, am I doing everything I can do to help us win the game? And then those moments I thought I was, but I'll go back and relook at them. I'm always going to be hypercritical of myself. And when it doesn't work, I'm definitely going to think even more about it.
Follow-up. Why is it best to go for two at 16-0? Fair question. I don't know why there wasn't a follow-up. I mean, okay, you want to show your balls. Why was it best to go for two when the score's 16? I would love to hear his answer. You can't just give me a generalized, well, I have to be aggressive and all the decisions I make are for the best. Well, why was it best then? Tell me. I need to know that, don't I?
You do, and I keep going back to you don't have to have balls, as Serriani says, when the opponent is the Jaguars. It depends on who you're playing. It depends on what the offense on the other side is doing. Because if that offense was putting up ridiculous points, let's go back to Super Bowl 52. It's relevant. Doug Peterson was here yesterday. You had to be aggressive consistently in that game because Tom Brady and the Patriots offense was unstoppable. You knew we need to outscore these guys. You couldn't settle for field goals. You tried to take advantage. Every opportunity to put more points on the board, you do it. Extra points, maybe not. Maybe you go for two. Be aggressive. Have balls, as Sirianni says. But when you're going up against the Jags and Trevor Lawrence, where they're down their number one receiver, they have banged up running backs, they haven't been able to move the football, you don't need balls. You just need intellect. You just need points. You keep accumulating points. You turn 2-score games into 3-score games, and you put the game away. Sirianni outthought it yesterday, or maybe he didn't outthink it. Maybe that was the problem. He wasn't thinking. He's thinking, I just got to have balls. That wasn't the answer yesterday.
And listen, there's a lot of stuff we have to cover today in addition to the Eagles. So let me just tip you off that we will be talking about Embiid smacking a columnist.
Shoving, I believe.
Shoving. No, well,
I don't know. It depends who you talk to.
One report where apparently he struck him before the shove. But, yeah, we'll get into that. Josh Harris clapping in his court row seat at the Sixers got embarrassed, clapping like a seal who was oblivious to what he just witnessed. So the Embiid and Josh Harris thing has gotten me in trouble with the Sixers, which I will talk about a little later. Sixers are not happy with me right now at this particular juncture.
Why, did you say anything negative last week?
I tweeted a couple things, and they're not happy with it. I'm going to go over why I tweeted what I did, and it's related to both of them, what I tweeted about. Of course, Jason Kelce up at Penn State, smashing somebody's cell phone, shot him with a homophobic slur. And then my favorite coach, James Franklin, getting into it with a student as he's walking off the field after losing to Ohio State for the 10th time in 11 tries. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be touching on today, Billy.
Yeah, what surprised me the most this weekend is that a Penn State student with the intellect of a Penn State University, Ray, would do something so dumb. Isn't that surprising to you? Because I always thought that the Penn State Nittany Lions, especially their student fan base, was just above every other fan.
What are you talking about? The Kelce thing? Oh, well, what's the middle of Pennsylvania? Alabama.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're not kidding.
There's Philly, Pittsburgh, and then there's Alabama in between.
I'm just busting your chops.
You that somebody would use a homophobic slur?
I'm busting your chops because you talk about the Penn State alumni as just being
Well, is that an alumni
above.
or is that just a dopey student?
Probably just a dopey student.
Okay.
They find out who he is.
Listen,
he might not end up being an alumni of Penn State.
I got plenty of things to say about Penn State. I'm a save it for later.
People are looking
All
forward
right?
to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna save it for later.
But yeah, we got to talk about Embiid and Kelce. We'll get there, but now we're talking about our
Let's see.
head coach.
And I want the people to speak here today. I don't understand the mindset of going for it at 16-0, and he should have been pressed on that. You can't just give an answer like, "Well, I got to be aggressive," and blah blah blah. Well, what makes sense about that? I would like to, since you are an enlightened football man, and I'm just an idiot watching the game on television, I would like to know about what is best for the team to go for 2 when it's 16-0, when 17-0 makes it a 3-score game. I would just like to know. I would like to probe that sophisticated intellectual mind of the head coach. Rob in South Jersey, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Rob.
Mikey Miss, what's up, man?
What's going on, Robbie?
Mike, you guys touched on most of it. I'm just going to pound more on Serriani. The 16-0 decision to go to 17, 2-score to 3-score, and then to pass up the field goal to make it 6-9. I don't know if this is the best analogy, and this is not hyperbole. It's as easy as adding 1 + 1. That's how easy it is. And one of the things, Mike, if you and I worked together, maybe not radio, or we were like good friends, if Kellen Moore or anybody in his ear is saying, "Nick, what the F are you doing?" Because it's getting ridiculous, and it's going to cost them down the road.
Yeah, there's got to be somebody who says, no, that's not good. Nick, let's do this. But maybe they're afraid to. He's making the decisions. The head coach always makes a decision whether to go for it, whether not, whether to kick or whether to get. That's his decision. That's not the coordinator. And so there is no pushback, evidently.
That's a shame because they should. But 2 more points real quick. Number 1, you guys just played the clip. The thing about having balls, and Bill just touched on it, that is a ridiculous answer. This isn't I don't know if I can say that, piss contest, about who has the bigger balls. It's about winning football games. That answer is absolute.
Well, that's what I mean. As a reporter, you go, okay, I get that. That's how you start the question. Okay, I get that. But please tell me why you thought it was best to get the score to 18 rather than 17. That's a logical follow-up, normal question, right?
Yeah, and then Nick says, well, when we make it on 4th down, nobody says anything.
Yeah, he said that too. But please let's just focus on this one thing. Can we focus on one thing? What was in your head that you thought was best about getting 18-0 rather than 17-0?
Yeah, I think, and again, I don't agree with this at all. So let me preface it with that. But I think what Sirianni's mindset probably is, we're going to make you pay for that penalty. So you come off sides on the extra point. It moves it closer. The tush-push is automatic. Therefore, we're going to make you pay. And he thinks, and again, I disagree with this, but he thinks that's the right way to handle it because of the message it sends to your team. Look, we're aggressive. We're going to make teams pay for their mistakes.
I mean, that's childish. Really, when you think about it, that's not what a CEO does. A CEO figures out what the best thing really is to do for your team. It's childish. Okay, so now we're going to get 2. Since we moved up closer, then we're going to get 2. Okay, but what sense does that make? If you get stopped, then you put yourself in a worse position. You don't put yourself in any bad position if you kick an extra point.
And they had already kicked it. They had to take the points off the board.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm with you on this. But and then once you don't get it, now you're chasing points the rest of the game. Now they got to go for 2.
Well, exactly. So just take the okay, you got closer. So what? The right thing to do is just kick it anyway. So just kick it anyway again.
But that decision to me, as egregious as it was less egregious than going for it on 4th down from the 25 in a 22-16 game when you could just kick a field goal and pretty much end the game. I mean, there are many decisions that we need to talk about with Sirianni, and it's a shame, Mike. We should be celebrating today.
So I'm not doing a good enough job.
25-16 puts you in a pretty good position, right? You kick the field goal, you're up 25-16.
If Nakobe Dean doesn't pick that off.
Oh, man. 610-632-097. Can you imagine the acrimonious tone that this show would have had they actually lost that game? The Mike Missanelli Show continues. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. All right, here's the good part about this whole thing. The Eagles have found an offensive niche where they run the ball and keep the passes very minimally successful because those plays are now going to be open because of what they've established with the run. They ran it 48 times yesterday. They passed it 24. This is like, what, the third straight game where they've had more than 40 rushes? So this is obviously a formula that works for them, and I think most people would be okay with it. Now, are there going to be times when the quarterback is going to have to win the game with his arm more than what they rely on with the run? Probably. Not against that team yesterday. So they did what they needed to do to win that game offensively yesterday. They just let that team hang around in the second half when they went up-tempo. They didn't seem to be that well prepared for the up-tempo, and they turned a quarterback who was terrible in the first half. In fact, I thought he was going to get pulled. And suddenly bangs up his hand, and the other guy, Mac Jones, is warming up, and all of a sudden he finds life, and really a better throw wins the game. They were in a position on the field where they should have won that game against the Eagles and not be intercepted by a linebacker. So that play was a bad play call to have that running back in that pattern rather than a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, not a great decision by Lawrence, I guess, on a 1st and 10, but you did have the mismatch that you wanted. You designed that play to get a running back on a linebacker, and Nakobe Dean hasn't been great in pass coverage. That's a tremendous play by him. You don't expect him to be able to go up and make that interception. But you look at this defense, and you said they let the Jags kind of get back in it. They still only gave up 15 points. 8 of their points came on the Saquon Barkley fumble that I still think should have been overturned. You agreed with the call.
Yeah, I did.
But that's 15 points. But to your point about the Eagles' offense being able to run the football, that was a beautiful thing to see because we questioned going into this game. You looked at the Jags' defense. The one thing they did well was stop the run, and they struggled against the pass. So I was a little concerned the Eagles would come out and get pass happy, thinking we need to throw the ball 40 times because of the opponent. They didn't. They established their will on a defense that stopped the run. They were a top 9 in terms of yards per game against on the ground, and they were top 6 in yards per carry against. And you saw the Eagles rush for 237.
They didn't stop this guy all that time. They weren't stopping this guy that the Eagles have.
No, but they went up against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, this guy's the best running back in the league.
You think he's better than Derrick Henry right now?
He does more things. That catch he makes is a sensational catch. And he's got that kind of ability to catch the ball like that. I know he's had drops in the past, but at Penn State, he was just a reliable receiver. It's just I'm really in an uncomfortable position here where they win the game, and maybe they got lucky to win it, and yet we're looking at all the bad decisions that the head coach made, and I think we're taking that and saying he could make those same bonehead decisions in a more meaningful game against a better opponent. I think that's what people are afraid of.
Well, you get on me for not being a fan of Dan Campbell. And my main criticism of Dan Campbell has always been his aggressiveness borders on recklessness. And what you saw in the NFC Championship game last year from Campbell was exactly that. He single-handedly lost the game for the Lions because he was making bonehead decisions thinking, got to be aggressive, got to be aggressive. That's what we've seen from Serriani, where you're not thinking in the moment. You're not analyzing the situation in a whole. You're just saying, I got to have balls. That will come back to haunt them. That's been why I haven't gotten on board with Dan Campbell. But they look pretty good.
Yeah, you better get off of that Campbell thing because they're obviously doing something right.
Yeah, they are. But when you're a CEO coach, which Dan Campbell is and what Sirianni is now, you can't afford to make bad decisions like that. Your only job as the head coach is to get your team ready and then to make sure the in-game decisions you're making don't cost your team. If they would have lost this game yesterday, could you have blamed anyone except for the head coach?
No. Everybody had the knives out, really. I tweeted out, Eagles are going to wind up winning this game. But Sirianni, my God. And people will go, you're going to mush them again. Blah, blah, blah. And they were within a whisker of losing the game, which I didn't think was going to happen. They were going to survive because I didn't think another team was going to make good enough plays to win it. Let's go to Adam in New Jersey. Adam, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Adam.
Hey, what's going on? Can y'all hear me?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I think there's a misconception about Eagles fans all around the world. We're not the Jets. We're not the Lions. We've been here before when it comes to having a good roster. It's a standard for us to win 10-plus, 11-plus games in a season. We've seen a talented roster before with McNabb and the Michael Vick era. And I think that Serriani feels as though we should just be grateful that we're just winning games. But this has been normal for us even before he's gotten here. And the things that he's doing now with our team, I think it's going to cost us in the long run because our goal here is to win a championship. We're tired of just winning 11-plus games and then flaming out in the playoffs. And I might be overreacting, but I think this might be the most talented roster on offense that the Eagles may have ever had in history. So for him just to win games and get credit for it, we've been saying this for a long time. And a lot of people blame Saquon Barkley for losing that Falcons game. But if you look back into that game, if he takes the points in that game where we only gave up 6 points in the first half, if he took the field goals in that game, we only lost by 1 point, we will win that game as well. So I don't really look at Serriani as a coach that's someone that wins us games. And then we go back to 22 when we went to the Super Bowl. It's very easy to win a lot of games when your defense is getting 70-plus sacks and your offense is rolling like that. The only game we needed them to coach from the coordinator and the head coach was the Super Bowl, and they got out-coached that game. So they get a lot of credit for Howie Roseman putting in, a great roster for about 3+ years now, and I just think finally they're getting exposed, and we're winning games, but at what cost? Because when we get to the bigger stages, we're going to lose because of culture.
We shall see. Last year, people are relating it to they got by with the skin of their teeth in a lot of those games to go 10-1, and then the chickens came home to roost. But I can only look at certain elements in this game, and I am just transfixed on why on earth you would go for 2 to make it 18-0 instead of 17-0. Like I can't get past that part of it. And and then you start to chase because you want to get to 24, so you go for 2 when you got 22. Not kicking the field goal to go up by 9 then brings me back to the same thing. Like, what are you thinking? This is not that difficult. You're not taking the SATs here.
No, and certainly it's not Ray taking the SATs.
No, it's not Ray taking the SATs. It's not taking the law school boards, which was the worst time of my life.
Oh, man. You're talking about the bar exam?
2 days ever, the bar exam.
Yeah, man. I did it 3 days because I did Jersey, too.
Yeah.
But you do yours at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Center City?
I forget.
That was a wild day.
I forget where it even was. Yeah. It was such a miserable day to get through that thing.
Oh, 2 days here in Philly, then I had to go to Atlantic City and take Jersey. It was crazy. But anyway, we digress. You're not wrong, man, and I've defended Sirianni, and the thing is, I'm going to give him some credit right now, and people are probably going to get angry saying, here comes Bill giving him credit. But I will say, I had my concerns that this could have potentially been a trap game for the Eagles, and I said that would fall on the head coach. This wasn't. The Eagles came out. They were ready to play. They scored points in the first quarter for the first time this season. There was a lot of good. The defense looked dominant in the first half, but then everything good that Sirianni did to get the team ready to play, he undoes it all with those decisions in this game that really could have lost it.
And yet they won, and people are going, well, appreciate the win. That's all he does is win. I've read a couple of those comments. All right. That's why I'm in such a quandary today.
I can't even get excited, Ray. People were coming at me, Mike. So people who clearly have never listened to this show, I'm tweeting out my criticisms of Sirianni last night. And I'm getting people tweeting at me like, oh, all you sports talk hosts are all the same. You just hate this guy. I'm like, you haven't listened to me, man. I've been defending this guy. I've been singing Sirianni love for 2 damn weeks. It was unacceptable.
I don't know how anybody could process that as he was brilliant yesterday. Like he deserved criticism yesterday. There's no question about it. And yet they won. So I got to put it in the proper perspective.
You got to put it in proper perspective. And I'm not a dog. I don't love unconditionally. So as much as I've liked Nick Sirianni when he makes bad decisions, I have to be critical of the guy. You don't just blindly like a guy and say, oh, well, it didn't matter. He made those decisions.
I'm listening to the presser, and he's talking about balls. And I go, oh, God, I wish I was there to ask the question, well, what was best about 16? I can't get it out of my system. I was looking at the TV, and I'm going, why on earth would he go for 2 here, even if he got closer to the goal line? Like a penalty push him closer. It doesn't make any sense. Eric in South Carolina, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Eric.
Hey, what's up, Mike? What's up?
What's going on, Eric? How you doing?
I'm happy because we won, Mike. But just like week in and week out, whether we lose or it's a close game, the fact that we keep discussing the coach is it's just crazy, man. You know, I've been watching the Eagles for a long time, bro, and I never really seen a coach that has a factor on the actual game being played as much as Serriani, bro. Like it's just like frustrating, like to watch, man. This dude leaves 9 points out there. He's at the 4th and 1 when the 4th and instance when he should have went for the touch push. He did. It's like I don't know,
now
man.
he's trying to outsmart himself with the tush push. There's no need to outsmart yourself with a tush push.
Yeah,
there's no need. They stop it. They're not going to stop it very much. Like the next time, they're probably not going to stop it.
Yeah, man, and Bill, I got to give you credit yesterday, man, for your instant reaction on TikTok. You finally, gave him the criticism that he deserves, bro. Like that game yesterday, we would have lost that game, Bill. That was solely on the coach, bro.
Yep,
solely, man. And
you're a TikToker?
I do TikTok.
Look at you, man.
Yeah, I do the instant reaction video right after the game.
I see your instant reaction. I didn't know it was on TikTok. I usually see it on Twitter.
I'm everywhere, brother.
Still look for dancing videos of him.
I'm everywhere.
Eric, I got you, man.
Yeah, Mike, man. Thanks for taking my call,
All
man.
right, you got it. Enjoy the win, man. That's what Andy Reid used to say.
Enjoy the win. But, Mike, to your point about this tush-push on the 4th and short at the 25, 22-16 game, if you're not going to run the tush-push, so if you have concerns that it's not going to work,
don't line up that way.
Kick a field goal, though. Just kick the field goal. The only reason why you would go for it there is if you felt we have an unstoppable play. The play you called was not an unstoppable play, clearly, because it didn't work. So why not just take the points, make it a 2-score game? If they would have lined up for the tush push and didn't get
Make it 25-16.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just kick the field goal.
There are 2 things that needed to be like, okay, if you're going to put yourself out there by saying, everything I do is for the best of the team, you got to then have him explain why he thought it was best to go for 2 at 16-0 and why it was best not to kick the field goal to make it 25-16. They got to be asked those questions.
Doesn't make sense.
All right, couple open lines at 610-632-0975. We got some Eagles text. Ray Dunn, how are you today, Ray?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic.
He's got a busy day today, Ray.
He does? What's he doing now?
He's got the doubleheader tonight. He's got Temple's men's basketball on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
And then he goes right to Temple women's.
One after the other?
Yep.
What, the time it lines up?
Yeah. 5:30 tip, and then after that, 30 minutes, 30-plus
Ray
minutes after
producing a 4-hour show and then doing 2 play-by-play events.
Every day
What's
I get
the
more
Charles
and more
Barkley
impressed.
line? We're not steel workers here. Let's not make.
Oh, but look at you. But that's stamina that only a 24-year-old kid can have.
Although I do have a bone to pick with Collegeville Bakery. Because you were on the marquee, and I was all excited. Mm-hmm. And now I'm realizing that they're just being fickle. They put Seth Joyner on the marquee. What's that? You're going to take Ray Dunn's name off for Seth Joyner?
They do it for everyone, man.
They took your name off already?
It was for one day.
One day thing?
Unacceptable.
Why would there be a welcome home sign for me?
Ray Dunn deserves a week.
What is it with you and good food places and trying to rip them? Like, we try to make friends here on this program. You make it incredibly difficult for us to get along with anyone.
You realize I'm being facetious here, ripping them for taking your name down for Seth Joyner's name.
I realize that as
I'm
well.
not being serious.
That
Collegeville.
Seth Joyner doesn't ad for him.
I think he does, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Back to the text line.
Go ahead, Ray.
John from Overbrook. He's back. Sirianni's back. For the last few weeks, we as a fan base thought that he had learned from his previous mistakes. Obviously, he hasn't. He left 9 points on the field. He got lucky yesterday, and going into the Dallas game, that concerns me. The analytics aspect in the game is truly ruining sports.
Well, the analytics can be like, I don't know that that's the analytics. That's what I think. Like, how could the analytics say 18-0 is better than 17-0? I think that he just wanted to get macho and get an extra point because he got closer to the goal line. I don't think it had anything to do with analytics. We have Ish on the line who's tired of the Serriani slander, which
today's. I just don't think today's the day for that.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Because they won. This is why I'm in that vice grip here. They won the game, and I'm thinking more about 16-0. Charlie in Levittown joins us. What's up, Charlie?
Thanks for taking my call. Bill, you said it earlier when you used the word reckless. There's a fine line between aggressive and reckless. And I don't think Sirianni recognizes that. And let me take it a step further. Let's just hypothetically say he was fired. Do you think anybody in the NFL is going to want to hire this guy?
Right now, probably not. I don't think that people will be lining up to hire Nick Sirianni as a head coach.
Right. And why is he still here?
Well, they're 6-2. You can't fire a guy at 6.
Whoa. We're 6-2. But how much is that players and how much is that
you can't fire a coach at 6-2, Charlie. It's ridiculous.
Why not?
Because that doesn't make any sense.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes. Would Belichick make those decisions?
Charlie, I know you're upset with the decision, but you're mixing apples and oranges here. You don't, as an administration, fire a coach who's 6-2. You just can't. You'd be ridiculed for doing something like that. He hasn't been bad enough for them to have a losing record. They're 6-2.
Yet.
Well, but what's this? Preventive maintenance? They're 6-2. You can't fire a coach who's 6-2.
All right, so let's let this play out, and we get into the playoffs, and we end up losing because of a bonehead decision.
Well, okay, but you're thinking there's going to be a bonehead decision. You can't anticipate a impending doom. When you got to play what you are, you're 6-2.
Mike, Mikey has a tape right now.
Well, he has what?
Nick Sirianni has a tape.
He has a tape of what?
Of his decisions, of what he's done.
Charlie, you're not. I'm not getting through to you. They are a successful team at 6-2, half a game behind the division lead. You realize how unsettled?
Stupid decisions.
But you would unsettle the team by firing a coach who's 6-2. Who you move on with? What would the players think of that? You would introduce an unsettling feeling in a situation that's really not that unsettled, except for the fact that you're mad he made a couple bonehead decisions yesterday. Come on, Charlie. Come on now.
But you can understand the frustration. But
come on, that's ridiculous.
But this is what you and I have battled about of Sirianni even coming back. Because I look at the record, and I say, look at how much they've won in the 3.5 seasons that Sirianni's been here. And you said it didn't matter because of the way last season ended.
Listen, I told you what my position is. They brought him back. So now my eyeballs focus on what they're doing. Right now, they're 6-2. I can't think, well, you should fire him. But you got to play it out.
And I will say this, and people don't like to hear this. They think I'm defending Sirianni. As bad as these decisions are, there's a lot more that goes into being a head coach throughout the week to get your team ready to play.
So much good.
So they were ready to play. They should have dominated this game. His in-game decisions, yes, left a lot to be desired.
610-632-0975. Got more back to the text board and your calls. Going to be a very busy day, so get in on the Mike Missanelli Show. On the Mike Missanelli show here, we got, of course, you get extra hour there, the fall back. I always got confused. Like, why, like, fall forward? I can fall forward, too. Like, I never understood, like, people say, well, it's real easy to remember. It's fall back, spring forward. I go, yeah, but sometimes you fall forward.
Well, I was just going to make the argument, but you don't spring back. But apparently Saquon Barkley does. He springs backwards.
He did. But again, like okay, so we all got the extra hour, 25-hour day, and that was good. And so now it's 11 o'clock, and it normally would be 12.
Yes.
So we normally would have done 2 hours by now.
Yeah, that's why I had my coffee an hour early, because my body needs it now.
Exactly. Which is all my not so clever way of saying that the 11 o'clock hour is brought to you by Grungo Law, your law firm when you need help because of an injury. Pray for peace, prepare for trial, grungolaw.com. And the 10 o'clock hour was brought to you, which really what should have been now, is brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows, plus make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. We have Around the NFL is coming up at 11:30. In the 12 o'clock hour, I will address the Penn State-Ohio State game. But that part is being also covered by Around the NFL. Because there's something that happened that makes me incredulous.
And are we addressing?
And we're going to play it.
Are we going to address the Jason Kelce Penn State
we
thing
are
as
going
well?
to address the Jason Kelce thing as well. Jason Kelce, some bratty little punk student, with his probably had a couple his first 2 beers, hanging out with all his buddies. And here comes Jason Kelce. So you got to say something snarky, and you got to video it. And he said he called Jason Kelce his brother's an F word for dating Taylor Swift. So obviously he was like he's a MAGA kid, which that's probably what it comes down to, because Taylor Swift is the enemy of the right wingers. So Kelce took it for a little while and then just turned around, snatched the kid's cell phone, smashed it. And I go, that's you don't like it. I go, why not? Why wouldn't you like that? I would have done the same thing. It's short of punching the kid, which you would have really got in trouble for. You grab the kid's cell phone, you smash it, you make the same point.
But it almost led to a more physical altercation, because then the kid comes back wanting his phone. Look, I understand Jason Kelce being upset. Kid goes after your family. You want to support it. One part of me is like, man, I love it. I love that Jason Kelce's sticking up for his brother. But Jason Kelce's a public figure now, man. I mean, he is a multimillionaire. He's on TV. He can't allow himself to turn that situation the way he turned it. He's got to ignore it. Yeah. I understand where
I get
people...
that side of it. I don't have a problem with it, nor do I have a problem with Embiid shoving a reporter.
Oh, come on.
I really don't.
Look, what Marcus Hayes said was ridiculous, and we've talked about that on the show. And again, I understand Joel. I'm happy for Joel sticking up for his family. It was an inappropriate story that was written, but you can't put your hands on a reporter.
I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I got when listen. I'm a big advocate of standing up for yourself. If Embiid thought that's what he had to do, now he runs the risk of 2 things: 1, get suspended by the league; 2, Marcus Hayes filing an assault charge against him. As long as you're willing to absorb that part of it, then I've got no problem with it.
All right. If Marcus Hayes files an assault charge, then I got another problem with Marcus Hayes.
Well, and that's what they do. So he's not going to do that. So you pretty much have immunity to smack the guy.
I'm going conspiracy theory here.
What?
The 76ers put Joel Embiid up to this so that he would get suspended, which would allow him to miss more games without them having to do the whole he's ramping up thing. Conspiracy. Put the tinfoil hat on, Ray.
Possible. And that plays into why the Sixers are upset with me after a couple of tweets that I put out. And I will also discuss that after 12 o'clock.
All right, we'll get into it, but we still got a lot to react to for the Eagles, right?
Yes, we do. So I don't want to divert that, because I know a lot of people have a lot of things to say. So let's go back to the phones, and we'll talk to Ish in Levittown. Go ahead, Ish.
Hey guys, how are you?
What's up, man?
Okay. I'm a little frustrated. I want to address 2 points, but I want to get to the Eagles real quick. They won the game yesterday. Why are we still talking about Nick Serriani? Mike, I have to push back on you a little bit. The last caller was basically saying what you're saying, so we should fire Nick Serriani.
Where did you ever hear me? I've said the opposite about him being fired. You can't fire Nick Sirianni. It's stupid.
I know. You're right, and I agree with that. But
okay, but when a coach performs the way he did, he's open to criticism. How do you not see that?
Mike, he's 42 and
Ish. Let's take it one at a time here. The record has nothing to do with the circumstances of the game that he needed to be criticized for. Were you supposed to not criticize him for making 2 bonehead decisions?
I can't when they win the game. How do you
not? Wait, so you're saying as long as the coach wins the game, he's immune from any kind of criticism on how he coached the game?
Yes, before y'all hear, yes.
I'll explain that to me because I want to know what. Okay. Explain that concept.
Okay, I do want to get to my other points because they're very valid. He has a .657 winning percentage. He's 40.
Again, you're not answering the question. You're not, and I'm not going to let you cloud this by keep mentioning his record. I know the record.
Okay,
I know they won the game. Is he immune from criticism when he makes a particular decision that deserves criticism?
Because if he would have made the field goal or the play, we're not criticizing him, so we can't have it both ways.
What are you talking about? It was a clear bonehead decision in 2 areas.
Ish, let me ask you it another way. If the Philadelphia Eagles, if the Philadelphia Eagles would win a game, but Jalen Hurts threw 4 interceptions, would we be able to criticize the quarterback for throwing 4 interceptions even though they won?
Okay, you have a point.
So that's what we're doing here. And look, I've been somebody who's defended Sirianni at length. You know that. But you can't look at yesterday's game and not talk about the bad decisions.
Okay, I can disagree. We can agree to disagree.
No. We can't agree to disagree. We can't do that. We can't agree to disagree. You made a point that you can't criticize a guy because they won. Now there's no disagreement there. There's no agreement. It's like a total, yes, you can criticize him.
Okay.
All right, there you go. No, agree to disagree. That doesn't work in this situation. Okay. Now, what's your second point?
Okay, James Franklin has to go. Why are these people praising him? He's 1-10, and then
who's praising him? Where are you getting this stuff? Who is praising him today? What is it, the Ish Times? You publish your own newspaper?
Oh, maybe that was somebody else, but
where is he getting lauded today? They're 1-10 against Ohio State. Where in your world is he getting lauded?
The Penn State people are.
Where have you seen a Penn State person laud him?
At State College.
Where? State College. Where did it appear? Newspaper, print, social media. Where you're making crap up?
I can't address that. I don't know.
Of course you can't address it because you just freaking made it up.
Yo, Ish. Man, it's got Mike all worked up now. We were having a nice hour and 10 minutes. It's going to be a nice day.
What in the hell's going on here? You can't criticize Sirianni for 2 bonehead decisions because they won the game, and there are people that are lauding James Franklin for losing again to Ohio State and yelling at a freaking student. Where on earth? The Ish Chronicle, apparently, is out there somewhere being published.
Ish has actually been pretty spot on the last couple of times because he's been agreeing with me about Sirianni. But today, Ish, I can't agree with you, man. Can't agree with you today.
Good Lord, Ish. 610-632-0975. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Back after this. Joe. Oh, let's get a little happy disco music going on here. Da, 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 da. Yeah.
Well, it is 4 wins in a row.
Yeah, we got a little heated on last call with Ish because Ish ticks me off sometimes to no end. But before we get back to the heaviness of the subject with the Eagles, I've been telling you about my leaf situation in my house. I got like 15 piles of leaves. I got all these old stately trees that shed.
Yeah.
And so every year my front yard and my backyard gets covered with leaves. I get trees in the front, I get trees in the back. So I like to run my dog in the backyard. So I have to clear the leaves where I throw the ball and she can run. So I have now got my blower out and I've made all these piles of leaves. These massive piles. I mean, like pond-sized piles of leaves.
Now you go with the gas blower or the electric?
I go with the battery.
The battery
charge.
Okay.
Yeah. I go clean. Yeah. I go eco.
Okay.
All right. So I go. I can't. My back is in such a bad shape that I can't pick them up. And so I go. What will I do here? So I'm walking my dog the other day, and I see a sign on a light pole. And it's 2 young kids advertising their work. 10 and 12. My name is blah 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 blah. 10 and 12, and we offer lawn services, and like $10 an hour. Leaves were $10 an hour. I go. I'll do all the work for these kids. I'll buy the bags. I got the rakes. I just have piles. Let me hire the kids to come over.
Good for them. I like it.
Right? Enterprising young lads, right?
Yeah.
So I email them. So they email me back and they say, would 3 o'clock work on Sunday? First of all, I said, can you come over at 1 o'clock? Because I'm thinking they pick up the leaves. I got the Eagles game at 4.
Yep.
Perfect time. They go, well, let me check our schedules.
Wow.
Right? So they write me back and they go, would 3 o'clock work? I go, yeah. So the kid knocks on my door, 3 o'clock sharp. Knock. 2 kids from the neighborhood. And I go, all right, fellas, here's some bags here. I need help opening the bag because there's long bags you have to get inside. And
Wait, did they give you a price yet?
It's $10 an hour.
Okay, but you don't know how long it's going to take.
No, I don't know. I don't care either. Whatever you're at there, but what I didn't realize is that adult picking up leaves are different than kids picking up leaves. Kids are a little slower. Kids don't know how to really push the leaves down. The rakes are too big for the kids, right? I'm looking out my window, and the kids are trying to pick them up with the rake and put them into the bag, and the rakes are awkward for the kids. So I bring out a snow shovel for them, which I think would be easier to scoop, and so I still think they're struggling with it, but they fill a bunch of bags, and it's like now past an hour. And it's getting dark. They came over in their bicycles. And I'm going, I can't have these kids ride home in the darkness. So I go out and I go, fellas, all right, that's enough. That's enough for today. And I paid them. Well, I'm enterprising young kids, I have respect for that.
I do. I respect it, too.
Yeah, we're cute.
10 years old?
10 and 12.
My daughter's 10. There's no way she's doing that.
No way. I like the gumption of the kid. I respected it.
I do. But that's not the only thing you did this weekend.
I played in a golf tournament.
You won a golf tournament this weekend.
We won our Turkey Day tournament.
All I do is win.
That's right. That's Mikey Miss. Mikey Miss on the golf course.
I don't know. I didn't even going to play. Because my bag's like 3 weeks after back surgery. I'm going, this is stupid to freaking play. But it's the Turkey Day thing where they have a big turkey feast afterwards, right? So, people playing it.
And you won the gross, not the net. The golfers out there understand what that means.
I played with it. And you play with various handy, like A, B, C, D players are randomly put together. So our A player was a +2. The B player was a 7. And then it was me in the C category, and then the guy behind me. And somehow we wound up winning the tournament.
It's great. So you had a lot better Saturday than I did because I got robbed Saturday night.
You got robbed. Man.
Like an idiot. So we had my
Where the hell do you live?
We had my wife's baby shower in Cherry Hill.
Jesus.
We had my wife's baby
Is there a criminal element in Cherry Hill these days?
I don't know. But we had my wife's baby shower. It was a great day. So me carrying in all the gifts, I inadvertently left my wallet and I left my car door unlocked. in my driveway. So I come out Sunday morning, don't think anything of it, take the kids to breakfast, go to grab my wallet. There's nothing in it. No credit cards, no driver's license, nothing. Robbed.
I want you to work a little bit on the phrasing, though, because when you say I was robbed Saturday night, I'm envisioning you physically being robbed.
Do you think anybody would have the balls that Nick Serriani has to come up to me and try to rob me?
Well,
Ray?
when you said it to me this morning,
Muscles marinara over here.
Yeah.
I'm still very upset for you, but I was very concerned about your safety.
Yeah, no, but it was a bad day. But think about the day I had. So Sunday morning, not only do I realize I was robbed, my favorite head coach makes 6 boneheaded decisions in the game, and I can't even sing Sirianni Love today. I had a rough weekend, Ray.
Sirianni Love. The thing about this golf thing was it was a shotgun at 10 o'clock, which meant I didn't see the first half of the Penn State game. I had taped it. So I go in, and at halftime, ironically, it was perfect timing, and I watched the rest of the game, and then it occurs to me that Ohio State's just running it up their keister to salt the game away, and I go, I can't even witness the end of this game. So I leave with about 4 minutes to go as Ohio State is just pounding the ball down the field.
You knew it was over?
I know it's over. So I leave, and I put on the radio broadcast of the game, and hence – this is why I'm going to include that in my Around the NFL coming up at 11:30.
And I'm looking forward to it. And you said something I say all the time. I taped it. Ray probably listens to us and said, what the hell does that mean?
I recorded it.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah.
There used to be these things called tapes.
You
right?
know, I have older relatives, right? I speak to people who aren't just 24.
I recorded it and watched it at home and got miserable all over again. But the thing that I'm including in Around the NFL is the radio broadcast, the Penn State radio broadcast that I heard, which has a gentleman named Steve Jones and the former Pittsburgh Steeler Hall of Fame linebacker, Jack Ham.
So that'll be coming up at 11:30.
In a couple minutes.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's go to Joe in Delaware. Joe, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Joe?
Hey, guys. How you doing? Love
Good,
the
man.
show.
How you doing?
Good. Mike, love to have you back, by the way. It's
Thank
great.
you, buddy.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been listening to you for years, so it kind of stunk when you were off the air. But Bill, big fan. Just all around, great show. Couple quick points. The reason why the previous caller is calling for Serriani to be fired is just foolish. Not only your point that they're having a winning season, but you got to install an offense and a defense throughout the whole year. Your players and coaches get used to each other. It's not just like somebody can walk in and take over.
Exactly. I don't know if people don't realize that. What that would cause, like the fragmentation.
Chaos.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous.
Right. So here's the second point. Anybody of the callers or anybody on Twitter or whatever online who's saying, well, you won, just enjoy it, why you're criticizing the coach? This is the reason why. There's this cartoon called The Family Guy, right? And one of the episodes, they're all about to die, and they're making, like, admissions of guilt. And the father says, I didn't like Godfather. And everybody's, incredulous. They're absolutely apoplectic why this guy would say something like that. It's the greatest movie of all time, blah, blah, blah. And he says something. I'm not sure if it's a saying in common parlance or they just kind of phrased it or coined it. But he says, it insists upon itself, right? And it's like a funny, whatever.
Yeah. I got you.
That's what he does, man. He insists upon himself. It's common knowledge. You don't leave points on the field, right? So,
well, sometimes you do if there's a greater good. Now, he would have to explain what the greater good is. You can't just say, well, I thought it was for the greater good when it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I agree. But it just seems common sense to me that when you're up like you are, you don't have to put your foot on their throat. You're already winning. Just take the points and keep doing what you're doing instead of, doing some bonehead stuff. Now, the third point that I had was, remember how before we brought in the new defensive and offensive coordinator, we brought in Fangio as like a consultant? Wasn't that the case like a few years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago, yeah.
Now, I don't know if this is like a crazy idea or whatever. Could you have a similar person who would offensively sit up in that booth and just kind of have the coach's ear to like save him against himself somehow, like only in certain situations?
The Rams do
it.
Well, the Rams do it too, though. The Rams hired Sean McVay a clock management specialist because of how bad McVay has been with clock management. They actually hired a guy
They
to
have
do
all
it.
those guys. The Eagles have all those guys up there.
Yeah, they got their analytics department.
Yeah, they've got safeguards. But he makes the final decision. The head coach is always going to make the final decision. So when he says, we're going for it here. There's nobody who's going to overrule that. 610-632-0975. Coming up around the NFL and more of your calls and texts. going to relight this fire that we started in the 10 o'clock hour about this game. A win for the Eagles, 6-2, half game behind the Commanders who won again. And yet, you can take this game apart a little bit. And I guess in a lot of ways, if you're doing Sports Talk Radio, it's a full day. You can laud the win, enjoy the win, man, and then just look at certain things and go, why? I mean, even Saquon, as great as he is, as great as he was yesterday, he made a boneheaded play. So, nobody is above criticism. You can't, sweep it under the carpet because you're a fanboy and they won.
And for those just tuning in, the boneheaded play you're talking about, it's not the fumble. It's on the second down.
Went down.
Yeah, not trying to get
create
the first down.
a longer 3rd and 4 when that wasn't necessary. All right. We'll get back to it. But on Monday at this time, we do a thing where 5 things that pique my interest with the weekend of football that we like to call Around the NFL. All righty.
Great music.
Let's start it. Let's see what's up in the division, shall we? Well, the Cowboys lost again. This time they were dropped by the Atlanta Falcons, 27-21. Kirk Cousins had another big day. 19 for 24 for 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, 9 yards to Drake London, 36 yards to Darnell Mooney, 11 yards to Ray McLeod. I wouldn't normally mention that, but I love saying Ray McLeod. Here's the one to Mooney.
Cousins throws to the vacated spot, and Darnell Mooney can walk home for a touchdown.
There you go. That's 36 TD to the house. Well, let's go deeper into this Cowboys mess, shall we? Which in this game featured an ill-advised fake punt, which went nowhere, a 4th and short where they ran a jet sweep to CeeDee Lamb that was stopped cold, and that TD pass to Mooney where 3 Cowboy defenders got tangled with each other. To boot, Dak Prescott pulled his hamstring early. Cooper Rush had to take over the rest of the game, and he was all right, but they still lost. This is really a messed-up franchise, which kind of takes the starch out of Eagles-Dallas week, doesn't it? They stink! That's why it wasn't going to be a look-ahead game.
6.5-point favorites already.
Unbelievable.
On the road.
Number 2, the Commanders moved to 7-2. They beat the Giants 27-22. Game wasn't really that close. Jaden Daniels had a pretty stress-free day in throwing for 2 more touchdowns to Terry McLaurin. So there was absolutely no letdown for Washington's miracle Hail Mary win last week. Giants kind of made a late run, but Daniels sealed the deal with this throw to former Eagles great Olamide Zaccheaus.
Jaden Daniels is wide open, and the catch is made. Olamide Zaccheaus cruises inside the 30 of the Giants.
Yeah, there you go. That was Chris Myers, Team Z, for the Fox broadcast. I had to throw in Zaccheaus, St. Joe prep star. Number 3, the Saints lost to the lowly Panthers, 23-22. Who cares, right? Who cares about this game? Well, around the NFL always looks for drama. And this one involves some comments on X made by former Saint All-Pro receiver Michael Thomas against New Orleans quarterback Derek Carr. Now, Thomas was cut by the Saints in February, and he now watches Saints games on TV. So in this game, Chris Olave got raked for another concussion after a vicious hit by Panthers headhunting safety Xavier Woods after Carr threw a high ball to his receiver. On X, Thomas wrote, "Dude, scary and panic, just throws the ball. Get him the F out of here. He is so ass." Thomas has repeatedly taken shots at Carr on social media. He also accused him of also setting him up for injury last year with bad throws. Carr, meanwhile, sort of said Thomas was jealous of Olave getting all the attention last year. So naturally, Carr was asked about this after the game.
I have love for Mike, and when he does that, I don't really care for it, obviously. I've had so many teammates over the years, and he's like the one dude that didn't get along with me, and I don't know what I did to him. I don't know why he feels that way. I'm sorry, for whatever he's dealing with to make him feel like he's got to do that. I don't know, but he's never called me during any of this, my phone number has never changed. I've I've in fact called him on different occasions, just to try. And sometimes you can try as hard as you want, and it just doesn't work out, and that's okay.
Bill, the white quarterback just can't get a break in this game. Derek Carr. Michael Thomas hates him. That's ridiculous.
Derek Carr's the first quarterback to lose to 31 NFL teams. He can make it all 32 this season.
Yeah, he stinks. And they stink. And I don't know. I thought that was the best part of that game. Anyway, number 4. Oh, Bill. The Lions are just solid. Big NFC North game in Green Bay. Bill's favorite coach put another notch on his belt. That's right, that Dan Campbell. And they proved they could also win outdoors. That's right, all the Lions' wins this year had been indoors. The Kirby Joseph scored on a 27-yard touchdown. The Lions converted 2 4th downs into touchdowns. They beat the Packers 24-14. Jared Goff had a rather pedestrian day, but they didn't really need him that much. He was 18 for 22 for 145 and a touchdown, and the Lions went to 7-1. Are you ready for this? It's the first time they've been 7-1 since 1956.
Wow.
After the game, Campbell was his finest macho self.
I don't think it matters where we play at. Doesn't matter about the conditions. We knew that coming in here. But I want to know if we validated anything. Are we going to validate being able to play in the weather? It doesn't matter, man. That's just the way you're built.
They're built like that, Bill. We can play anywhere. It doesn't matter. Snow, rain, outdoors, indoors. What do you think of that?
Why does he annoy me so much? I don't know what it is about Dan Campbell. I don't like him. I don't know why.
We'll play in a damn alley if they want us to.
And we'll bite their ankles. Ridiculous.
Number 5. Okay. Penn State lost to Ohio State, so I have to address it. Now I picked Ohio State to win because, frankly, they are just more powerful. They're better. They recruit better players. They're obviously coached better. Penn State had a chance to win this game. They got to the 1-yard line in the fourth quarter, and they ran 3 straight halfback plunges, which were stopped cold. And then the quarterback, Drew Aller, flailed on a desperate 4th down attempt pass in the end zone. And then the Buckeyes rammed it up their keister by running 10 straight times to get out of that 1-yard line jail and salt the game away. But here's what bothers me. The continuing softness that caresses the Penn State program. I told you I was listening to it on the radio, and so I listened to the last couple of minutes with the Penn State broadcast team, Steve Jones and Jack Ham, and then they get into their post-game radio show. And in their post-game radio show, they have first access to the head coach, James Franklin. And here's how the interview went.
Welcome back to Beaver Stadium. Ohio State with a 2013 win. We're joined by the head coach of the Nittany Lions, James Franklin, in the Penn State locker room. James, for you, as it played out today, what were a couple of things that stood out?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, obviously, early on in the game, I thought we played really well on the defensive side of the ball, got some critical stops, but we just had too many penalties that caused us issues. We gave them a first down in an unsportsmanlike conduct. The interception return, unsportsmanlike conduct, give them field position. But at the end of the day, our defense played well enough to win today. We only scored 6 points on offense, had the ball down in the red zone multiple times, turnover on downs, turnover with an interception. You got to be able to convert those things to touchdowns against these type of opponents in these types of games.
James, you need your best players to play well today. It seemed like Abdul Carter really came off that edge with a lot of force.
Yeah, Abdul played really well. Made some big-time plays for us. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Tyler Warren comes through there at the end and makes some big plays for us as well.
James, it's a different era. And because it is a different era with a 12-team playoff, you've got a lot of football in front of you. What was the message to the team? Because you've got a lot of important football in the stretch run.
Yeah, it was exactly that, right? We gotta make sure that we make these corrections tonight. We got to flush it tomorrow after practice. And then we got to find a way to get a win next week against a really good opponent here at home.
How much was the crowd a help to you today in a lot of ways?
Yeah, I thought the crowd was great. We had a great environment. We're very appreciative of that here at Penn State.
Oh, my God.
It's always been a blessing.
I can't.
And we appreciate everybody coming out supporting us.
And we'll see all of them next week. James, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
They did not ask him about the last sequence of plays where they ran 3 plays right into the middle of the line with their halfback, not even with the big tight end, Tyler Ward, who has carried it before. They did not even delicately ask him about what they were thinking about on that last 1-yard line sequence. I am stunned.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're soft. Now, okay, it's the Penn State broadcast. I get it. Where in the world, how do you have any self-respect if you don't phrase the question, even if you phrase it delicately? James, so what was the mindset there with that sequence when you were trying to get into the end zone? Something as innocuous as that. And he says, well, we thought that we could power rush. He gives you an answer. To not ask the question is embarrassing.
I don't disagree. That's what you get at Penn State, Mike. Embarrassing. That's what it's all about, Ray. That's why Ray decided my 15-40, I'm not going to Penn State.
Remember when he said he was rooting for
them.
them.
Just witnessed.
I was.
The most key part of that game where they run 3 plays into the middle of the line, and you don't think to bring it up with the head coach? I mean, even if the play-by-play guy, who's a professor there, who's been Mr. Penn State for years, even if he doesn't want to do it, the other guy was a Hall of Fame football player.
You're not wrong.
Oh,
I mean,
I can't take it.
Even the ass-kisser ESP asked Serriani about those decisions to start the press conference.
I don't even know who that is, nor do I care. Let's go to the text board. The text board says what, Ray?
Hey, fellas, this is my take on Nick Sirianni. This team is talented enough, coached well enough on both sides of the ball, and play hard enough to win despite Nick's boneheaded moves. Been watching it for 3 years. Don't know how much longer I could take it. That's my 2 cents, VT Ron.
All right. Let's go back to the phones. Greg in Bethlehem, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Greg.
Hey, guys. I couldn't understand the, piling into the middle of the line at Penn State 3 times in a row. That seemed kind of stupid. But, doesn't Sirianni seem like he's desperate for relevance and is grasping for opportunities to put his print on the game, and he is just not very good at it. Who would, other than Howie, is there anybody that could have any influence?
Listen, I'm sure that they're not happy with some of the things he does. I think he's calmed down over the last couple of weeks. I think that was one thing they got to him about. But they're not going to call play. Like the general manager and the owner are not going to be like Jerry Jones and get on the headset and say you got to do this. He's got a bunch of coaches around him. He's got all these advisors around him. At the end of the day, he is making the call on whether they're going for it or not. And I think you're right. I think he is trying to make himself relevant. I think he's trying to play into this role of being the aggressive macho man. But it doesn't make sense in certain situations. Like, it doesn't. He needed to explain yesterday why he thought that going for 2 there with the score 16-0 was helpful. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, I agree. I mean, it takes more than big balls to be a head coach. And Nick seems to feel that as long as he's operating with big balls, nobody can.
Greg, it sounds funny when you say the word balls. I don't know why, but it just doesn't seem like that would be a word that would come out of your mouth, Greg.
Well, I don't use it very often.
I can tell. Listen.
Oh, man. Sirianni does give us a ton of content, though, doesn't he? With the balls.
Greg's such a milquetoast guy that he just threw me there when he said the B word.
Yeah, a little bit.
They did it right.
Yeah.
It's like he was gearing up to say it. It's like, well, am I going to say it? Am I going to say it?
I think we're really in a tough spot here. They won the game, and they won the game with a really good play. They won the game because players made really good plays. Take on with that catch, amazing. Sidney Brown on the kickoff, the fumble, and then Kobe Dean with the interception. Like they made the plays that won that game, and they should have lost it. If that quarterback was a little more competent, they probably should have lost that game, in which case we would have like total license to fire away at the head coach. They won the game and they're 6-2. And it puts us in a tough spot. It puts fans in a tough spot because you don't know whether to wind your watch or scratch your butt.
The surprising thing to me is outside of the one caller-ish, a majority of our callers have agreed with us about how ridiculous the Sirianni decisions are. But that's not the same for what I'm getting on social media from people. There are people on social media who are making the argument that I've made in favor of Sirianni in previous weeks, that all they do is win, look at the guy's record, they won the game. So much good. What are you doing? But again, the analogy of if your starting quarterback threw 3 or 4 interceptions, but you still won the game, you would look at the quarterback in a critical way. Sirianni made 3 decisions, really 6 that you could question, but 3 that I completely disagreed with. You can't not look at those decisions, even after a win, and say they could have lost this game because of the head coach. So I'm not understanding the people on Twitter, and if we have listeners out there who want us to just focus on the win, I'd love to hear why, because this will come back to haunt this football team. If he made decisions like that against a better team, a better quarterback, with a more high-powered offense, there's no way they win this football game. It's because you were playing a really bad Jaguars team. A really bad Jaguars team.
I forgot about Devontae's catch for a TD, which was amazing. So
incredible.
You're talking about 4 great plays that were made by the Eagles, and that's how they won the game. So I guess I sit here and I go, okay, they're 6-2, and all he does is win. I keep hearing you in my head with this all he does is win thing. And I go, they won. And yet, like I don't know, man. I'm confused today. I need help from the people. I throw that to the people on what your view is here. Because you're also tempered. Because I know a lot of people want to go after Serriani, and then they go, yeah, well, what overrules it is they won. 610-632-0975. We're rolling to the 12 o'clock hour with some Sixers issues and the Joel Embiid situation and how people feel about that little piece. Mike Missanelli Show continues. 12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning, where you get 0% financing for 72 months. You also get a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. We will get back to the Eagles and discussing what happened in this game yesterday and go through the progression of the game and the plays that saved the Eagles yesterday, and also some of the really questionable decisions that were made by the head coach that is scaring everybody.
I'm the dumbest coach in the world.
Yeah, but there are other things that happened this weekend. So let's address a couple of them. Now, we alluded to the Jason Kelce situation where he was at Penn State, and a guy used the gay slur against his brother for dating Taylor Swift, and he had enough. And listen, we're talking about a football player, all right? This is a football player who has been really conditioned to be in a competitive fighting spirit for most of his life, right? So when some little punk kid says that, instead of just knocking the kid out, which I would have had no problem with, he grabbed his phone and smashed it. And I think that it's a totally appropriate response.
Yeah,
for
but
that.
You said you would have no problem with him knocking him out.
No, I
couldn't
would not. See, here's Bill. You have to understand where I come, what my philosophy is. I don't believe that any human being has the right to abuse another human being for just no reason. And there needs to be a lesson laid down when that kind of thing happens. Now, I know that what I'm saying is fairly barbaric, but otherwise there is no ramification for somebody who would just willingly do that and not think that there's going to be any ramifications for it. That's what I don't like about it, that you take the higher road and that kid doesn't learn a lesson.
I completely understand where you're coming from, because there was a part of me that loved that Jason Kelce put the kid in his place, because the kid's being a troll. He's being a punk. But at the same time, Jason Kelce has to realize that he's not a regular person anymore. He's just not. He can't be walking through tailgates
I don't think
anymore.
that he should take that kind of thing. I really don't. I just, okay, he's not a regular person. That doesn't mean that he still should be able to take somebody who's trying to evoke that kind of emotion out of him.
But you do realize that if Kelce would have turned around and knocked him out, Kelce would have had criminal charges against him, and he would have been sued.
Right.
There would have been plenty of things that happened.
That's why I said he couldn't have done that. But the appropriate response was grabbing the guy's phone, smashing it. Okay, guess what? Now you got to buy a new phone. How you like that? And let that be a lesson to you, that maybe the next time you don't do something like that.
But what Kelce's got to do, he's got to. He has to realize the days of him being able to walk through tailgates like he did in Buffalo. Remember when the Chiefs played the Bills and he's going around taking shots with people? He wanted to jump through a table. He can't do it anymore.
He was just walking to the game. He wasn't doing anything.
But without any security with him. He's a big celebrity now. He can't be walking without security anymore.
It wasn't like anybody wanted to provoke him physically. Some guy made a snarky comment, and it touched him in a certain way, just like a racial comment would touch somebody in a certain way. Well, this particular comment touched him in a certain type of way. So instead of hauling off and whacking the kid, he just grabbed his phone. And he did something that I think made a statement to the punk kid.
Now, I don't know if there's any proof or whatever, but had Kelce been drinking that day? Because my concern...
I don't know. What are you going to do? You can't sue him for getting
I'm not saying that.
Phone.
What I'm saying is if Kelce had been drinking and he's inebriated as he's walking through that tailgate, he's lucky worse things didn't happen. When you are Jason Kelce, and I get it, I don't love what that kid did. That kid's a punk. He just can't act that way.
Let's just take what actually happened instead of saying, well, it was drinking. It was just, but on its face, he's walking innocuously into a game, and the kid wants to stir something up.
Yes.
Gives him a homophobic slur, and continues to video him and a whole bit. He reacted by grabbing the kid's phone. Oh, yeah? Who's the F now? Whap.
Yeah, but
all right.
Here's why.
That's the perfect response.
Here's why it's not.
Okay,
here's why it's not. Because if Kelce just ignores him, it de-escalates the situation. When Kelce turns around, grabs his phone, smashes it, you have now taken that situation and you've escalated it. Now the kid comes back. He wants his phone. I think he even kind of checks Kelce out of the way to get his phone, and now Kelce gets back in his face. Now you've turned that situation into a potential fight, a physical altercation.
You're probably right in what you're saying. I just, I'm tired of seeing people try to abuse other human beings for no particular reason. I just, I abhor that kind of behavior. We take it all the time on Twitter. We have all these keyboard cowards who will do the same thing to you on Twitter, and I always say, I hope that you're man enough to say that to my face someday. You know? Yeah. I don't think a coward should get away with anything like that.
Now, look, the way that we grew up, you're probably right, and I am sitting here with the benefit of not being in the moment saying, hey, Kelce was wrong. I don't know. Yeah. I would hope that I would be able to handle it the way that I am saying he should have handled it, where I didn't let my anger get the best of me.
Yeah.
But really what should have been done is there was enough evidence, video evidence of that kid saying it. You identify who the kid is, and then he should have to face the consequences.
What consequences is he going to face, really?
Well, what's Penn State going to do?
So what Kelce did.
What's Penn State going to do to the kid?
It's not going to do anything to the kid.
So you could just run around using that word, and there's no issues from the school?
They're going to suspend it from school? I don't know. I don't know what student rights are these days. I have no idea what they can do in that kind of a situation. And a little later, we'll talk about the embiid situation, which is kind of similar. But right now, it is noontime. And what do we do at noontime? We do news. What's called the news at noon.
This is becoming a huge segment. We got tweeted
really
at on Friday by somebody who said, I live for the news at noon.
There you go.
The day won't be the same without
So you're living today, brother, because here he is.
There's
Ray
a
Dunn
whole
with the
lot
news
going
at
on
noon.
in this world. It's time to catch up. Here's the news at noon. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All righty, it's Ray Dunn with the news at noon. 3 interesting little tidbits that only he can dig up. Right? What'd you dig up today?
All right, it's a football Monday, so I'm starting with basketball. Ime Udoka and the Rockets played the Warriors. Udoka had high praise for a former 76er, and hearing this made me upset all over again.
It's Klay Thompson all over again, really. That's how they're using it. So he slides right in, albeit off the bench.
He called Buddy Hield Klay Thompson all over again with the way that the Warriors are using him and the way he's scoring the basketball right now. I'm upset all over again that they did not find any way to utilize Buddy Hield in the entire second half of that season last year.
Huh.
Well, they had one half.
You're a big Buddy Hield guy?
I mean, you traded for the guy. Like, I would have liked to have seen him be a usable piece to this team.
Well, you remember what Daryl Morey said when they got him. We got the best player at the deadline. Didn't really work out that way.
The bigger trades happened before the deadline.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he can't play you on a basketball court. He can't defend you.
Who, Buddy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm very unguardable.
Yeah, I think he's going a little overboard. Buddy Hield is an acquired taste. Like sometimes he'll make shots, and most of the time he's a defensive liability who really doesn't make any kind of a difference. But on a really good team, he might make it.
Remember, what was it, Game 5, where he went off in the first half?
Yeah. And before that, he couldn't do anything.
Was it Game 5 or Game 6?
I think it was Game 6.
Game 6.
Because they lost the Buddy Hield game.
That's correct, because Nick Nurse, for some reason, after he's hot in the second quarter, doesn't put him in the game in the third quarter.
All right, I'm not going to get any more upset. I'm going to move back.
You're getting me worked up.
You're a Buddy Hield fan?
When they brought him in at the deadline, I expected him to have more of an impact than what he did. Whoever's fault that is, we could go. That's a different show, different day. But
overrated player now has been with 4 franchises.
The fact that I'm listening to him be called Klay Thompson all over again drives me a little nuts.
I hear you.
All right, going to football here. Chargers got the win yesterday. Harbaugh got his chance to have his little post-game speech to the team, and he used a phrase that a couple of players I don't think had ever heard. I'll be honest with you, I've never heard this one before.
Hey, fellas, that's one great job now. One great job. Imposing your will. That was, man, nothing warms the cockles of the heart like going into another man's stadium and imposing your will and getting that win.
You know what's funny about that? Most of those dopes in that locker room thought when he used the word cockles that he was doing it in a sexual way.
That's the reaction.
What did he say? He said cockles.
What was the word he used again?
The cockles of the heart.
I just wanted to hear Ray say it.
was like, what?
He is such a strange dude. But he doesn't, like, him and John Harbaugh seem like they're completely different people. I mean, I know they're different people, but they're brothers, and they seem like their personalities couldn't be further from each other.
Yo, man, he talking about your junk.
You should go watch the video. I don't know who it is standing behind him. Turns and looks at me. What?
Yeah,
what did you
they
say?
didn't know what that word meant.
I had never heard that phrase in my life.
I have heard it many times. It cockles in your heart. You know, it's a part.
I've never heard it.
Deep inside your heart.
Go inside another man's stadium.
It's like literary. I forget where it was used, the cockles in your heart, but it's a literary thing, and he doesn't understand it. The other guys don't know what that is.
No, I didn't. All right. Finally, last one. Jerry Jones. It's Dallas week, and he just wants you to know he still believes in this group.
Really regret this for all of our Dallas Cowboy fans. I will tell you this, that I've been around. I've seen Michael Irvin tear up and cry when he couldn't lose anybody because he's just recovering from knee surgery. Yet his ass came back and led a team to 3 Super Bowls. I know you can be there if you're there. That room's full of guys that can get it done. I believe in them, coaches and all.
There you go.
You convinced?
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing him too.
Yeah,
they're done. They don't give me. I was looking at some guy did a thing on Twitter or X where he goes, "Oh, it's Dallas week. It's officially Dallas week." Hey, dude, don't even give him the credit. You know, like,
well,
don't even give him the credit.
So a couple things. So did you see the cameras caught Dak Prescott on the sideline saying, "We bleep and suck"?
Yes.
Did you see that?
I did see that.
And now you may not have Dak for this week. You may not have
Oh, I remember that from elementary school. Mike Missanelli show continues.
November 4th, big offensive performances from
The cockles. The cockle is sort of a clam, but it's got the fancy shell. It's got this, the rigid shell that you collect.
That song was terrible, though.
Well, it's not.
You don't like Irish folk music,
What's the
man?
matter with you? But Ray, tell him.
What's the matter with you?
Tell him, man. Molly Malone. The Irish sit around and you have a brown liquor. You have a whiskey. Hey, sing Molly Malone. Hey, sweet Irish Molly Malone.
I'm gonna get myself some Guinness.
See, I remember Arya from Game of Thrones pushing the wheelbarrow saying, oysters, clams, and cockles.
There you go. That's what they did in Dublin. She was a fishmonger, and sure 'twas no wonder.
Yeah. Oysters, clams, and cockles.
For so were her father and her mother before.
So people just tuning in. The reason we're talking about cockles is because Jim Harbaugh put it in his post-game speech.
That's correct. From the cockles of your heart. This is a literary kind of thing to say, meaning deep inside the heart, the ventricles of the heart. Meanwhile,
all the Chargers looked at each other like, did he just say cockle?
Yo, man.
Harbaugh crazy. Talk about cockles. All right.
I didn't know where he was going either with it. I'll be honest. I watched it.
All right. So here we go. Let's now add a layer to the Kelce thing with the embiid thing, which everybody's talking about. And the Sixers are very angry with me, by the way.
Yes, they are.
Because of 2 tweets that I put out. So this is where I'll introduce it, and then we'll get back to talking Eagles. So Embiid sees Marcus Hayes shows up. Now, he wasn't there when Joel brought up his name the first time when he said that I've done enough for this city and that kind of. And so he showed up for the next game, which was where the Sixers got beat.
Now, would he normally be there? Do we know? Like, is Hayes usually there?
I don't know, but I think it was a good idea for him to show up.
Yeah,
his name has been brought up, so now he's got to face the music. So he goes in there, and I think goes in there to try to make nice with Joel Embiid because he did change the lead. The lead he put in he realized was inappropriate, where he brought up his brother who has passed away and his son. And he realized he had crossed the line, and they changed the lead on that. But once it was out, people saw it, right? So he got criticized for it. So now the thing you do is you face the music. And you go, listen, and he did apologize in a tweet for it because he had gotten all kinds of a raft of crap for it. So then he goes in and he wants to address it with Embiid. Well, Embiid doesn't want to hear it. And Embiid, according to a story I read in the Inquirer today, slapped him in the neck before he pushed him. And other people didn't see the slap. They just saw the push.
Oh, but before you go on, you just said the story you saw in the Inquirer.
Yeah.
Who does Marcus Hayes work for?
Inquirer.
And that's the only outlet that I've seen say that Joel slapped
That doesn't mean she didn't see it. It's the reporter who...
It was Gina Mizell, who does a great job. I like Gina a lot.
Mizell, like, why would she just make that up? Maybe she saw it and nobody else saw it.
Maybe. Just interesting that...
So, in any event, Embiid gets his back up, and he stands up for himself, and he got a little physical. I don't have a problem with that either. I really don't.
He can't get physical,
If you
though.
write something like that, you face the music, and the guy... Now, again, the ramifications, two things can happen. The NBA has to come in and what, suspend them more games? That's going to benefit the Sixers because they don't want to play in anyway, or at least they don't want to play in a lot of games. And then, or Marcus Hayes can file some kind of an assault charge. But he's not going to do that either. So what's going to be the whole thing? They may take 2 games away from Embiid for that.
Maybe. But to your point, Joel can't touch a reporter, man. Like, I agree 100%. Marcus Hayes is in the wrong. I personally haven't liked some of the things Marcus Hayes has written for a long time. And I thought he crossed the line with Joel. Joel's completely in his right to address it. He just can't make it physical.
You're right. I just don't have a problem with it. You're right. In a civil world, you shouldn't be putting your hands on anybody. You should be bigger than that. But it affected him to the point where he thought it got too personal, and he is standing up for himself.
Yeah, and there's a majority of fans who agree with you about the Kelce situation, about the Embiid situation. Hey, you bring family into it, all bets are off. And I understand that. And I would hope that I could practice what I preach here and not make it physical if someone said something about my family. But they need to be above it. I know it's difficult, but they need to be above it. Joel, especially, you can't physically assault a reporter. You just can't do it. And Kelce can't do what he did that could elevate that into a worse situation. I can't agree with what they did. Deep down, a part of me is like, I love it. Because family above all. But you got to be smarter. You have to be.
Cockles. Cockles. on the other side. On the other side, I'm going to explain why the Sixers are angry with me. 610-632-0975. Back after this. Got a couple issues back on the board, so let me just get this one out of the way because the Sixers are not happy with me. And I wanted to address it today, not to defend myself at all. First, I'm going to tell you, I have no problem with teams, organization, executives, players, coaches being angry with me and challenging me on things that I either say or write. In this case, it was a tweet. Now, after we got off the air Friday, Ray, the Sixers issued some kind of a statement that Joel had swelling in his knee. We had never heard that before, right? Didn't come out. It was just, there was that.
They were ramping him up.
Yeah,
he wasn't strong enough.
He was playing 5-on-5 scrimmages. Nobody ever said anything about swelling in the knee. So I tweeted out on Friday. So now we learned that all of a sudden Joel Embiid has swelling in the knee. Not buying it. The Sixers, IMO, which means in my opinion, which means it's an opinion, are simply trying to reduce the season for the guy, which smacks of consumer fraud. Smacks of consumer fraud. I am not literally saying that by the law it's consumer fraud. I am embellishing the point that it's being unfair to fans.
And that's your tweet, because you did talk about consumer fraud last week, but made clear technically under the law it's not.
No, right. I am trying to embellish the point that this is not fair to the fan base, and I always fashion myself as a guy who tries to do right by the fan base, who are our customers.
Correct.
So they weren't happy with that, and I got feedback that as a lawyer I should know better than to put a tweet out like that, which I agree with. This is not a lawyer opinion. This is just an opinion, and I use strong words to put the opinion. So if I was wrong and people think I was wrong for doing that, I totally accept that. I'm going to tell you what my mindset was, though, in putting that out in the first place. So now that I've already got them mad at me. And so I doubled down after watching that game that they lose on Saturday. And I see at the end of the game where they're getting hammered and they got like 76 points on the board, and Nick Nurse starts taking out starters and putting in bench guys. And who's there at courtside? The owner, Josh Harris, who has already diluted his brand as a Philadelphia owner by owning the Washington Commanders and the New Jersey Devils and a soccer team in England. And he's sitting there glad-handing the players that are coming out of the game. That rubbed me the wrong way. And so I tweeted, and maybe I used too strong of a word, but I tweeted the following. Josh Harris sitting there like a dope, clapping for Sixers players who have played like SHI, you know what, as they come out of the game, sigh. Now, that's an opinion that I put out. So now they're doubly mad at me.
Yeah, I don't understand why they'd be mad at you calling Josh Harris a dope. Right,
I said sitting there like a dope.
Oh, like a dope.
Glad-handing guys that are coming out of the game after they totally played like crap, embarrassing themselves in front of a home crowd, and this guy's going to high-five them and clap for them as they're coming out? Are you serious?
Yeah, it was an embarrassing performance. Didn't they get out-rebounded by like 21 or something ridiculous?
Yeah, 25. So if I'm wrong, or I don't know, 20. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And if the people think I'm wrong, you want to tell me I'm wrong, I accept it. I just tell you my mindset in putting the tweets out in the first place.
One thing about Mikey Miss, we're always going to know how you feel on a subject, no matter what that means.
I'm looking at the owner going, are you kidding me? Seriously? You're gonna congratulate these guys tonight? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I see a game a certain way. There's certain things, as an owner, you should be kind of disappointed in your performance for your team there. You just let down a whole crowd.
True Philadelphia owner would have booed him.
Well,
there you go. He should have been booing him as they came off.
I just don't get it. Really? Listen, are you oblivious to what just transpired in front of your eyes for a team that you own? Now, I know he was probably excited to get to the frickin' Commanders game right after the game and get to Washington somehow.
7-2.
Let's go to Stan in Philly. Stan, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Stan?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, buddy?
Everything is good so far today, man. What can I say, right?
Yes.
But you know what? I'm sitting here listening to everything you guys are saying, right? You got this going on. embiid, Sixers.
A lot of stuff going on, man. A lot of stuff.
It is. Here's something that we haven't spoken on. Why did the owner let embiid play in the Olympics? And when he just came off a knee surgery.
Well, you can't prohibit him from playing in the Olympics.
No, I'm saying he couldn't jump when we played the playoffs with the Knicks. He couldn't jump the block.
Listen, I'm pretty sure that they weren't happy with him playing in the Olympics, but it's not anything they can control. It's his decision.
I know, but I'm saying if he cared about the play of the Sixers, he should have been home resting those knees, man. That was a big mistake. But I'm not going to get into all that right now. I'm still football, man. Listen, Eagles, I'm concerned about Brown, his knee, man, because Brown.
Well, early reports are he's all right.
Like the leader of the Eagles, because he's well respected. And when he went down, you could tell the floor of the team yesterday kind of like went south a little.
But Stan, early reports are he's okay. It looks like
he's okay now. Well, fine then.
The reports are he avoided serious injury to the knee.
Good. Hopefully he can play this week. We hope. Look, we're going into Dallas, man, and perfect opportunity. Prescott ain't playing, and maybe CeeDee Lamb may not be playing. They're playing like mess anyway. What do you say? Eagles 35, Dallas 10.
Yeah,
I mean, we can run the ball down their throats.
Yeah,
man.
I see.
I mean, it should be okay.
I see something like that, Stan.
We should be all right. Yeah,
Stan, Stan, you got to breathe and let it.
Off all their heart. Anytime.
I think he's got us on mute.
They can't beat. The team they played yesterday. You kind of know, like, okay, the boys done gave up a little bit here. We can just go and get them, man.
Stan,
go Eagles.
Stan didn't breathe.
I can't squeeze a word in.
No, he didn't breathe. He just kept going.
Stan had a plan.
He did have a plan. He's ready to look.
Shift.
He's ready to look forward to Dallas already.
I got it. I hear you. All right, let's go to Dan in Philly. Dan, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Dan.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing, Dan?
So I got to put my opinion out there a little bit. I know probably nobody gives a crap, but the Kelce situation, like, you got to be real. Like that's a guy. He's somebody who is famous, right? He plays football. He knows him. That's a regular dude, and that's just two guys going at it. Somebody says a mean thing to me, and then I grab his phone and smash it. There's a cop there. I'm getting arrested. That's considered assault in a lot of situations. You know what I'm saying? And I love Kelce. I'm glad he did what he did. I love seeing it, but you gotta take responsibility of your actions, right? So, like, if he were to get blowback for it, that's what he gets. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I don't know. What are you saying? Are you saying that Kelce was right for what he did or wrong?
I'm saying, like, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I think he's wrong. I think they're both wrong. You know what I mean? But, like, I'm okay that I'm like, okay, you got what you deserve. But at the same time, like, Kelce, you made a decision, man. That's assault. Like,
yeah,
if he turned around and hit him, like you were saying, like, that's assault.
Yeah, but he didn't turn around and hit him.
But he did.
I get it. You're saying that probably the right things, that you now have to be more mature and above that kind of thing. But he's just retired from football. He still has a football mentality in his head. Now, when you challenge a football player like that and you call him the F word like that guy did, that probably triggers a macho guy like Jason Kelce. Now, maybe 2 years down the road, it wouldn't trigger him. Like, fresh off, probably triggered him. Like, you don't call me that. And as he turned around, he had two choices. He could have confronted the guy. He could have said, yo, dude, stop it. Or he could have punched him, which he didn't. Or he goes, this guy's filming me. Let me grab his phone. Boom. And he's like Sonny Corleone in The Godfather when he took the camera. And he smashed the camera, and he threw a couple $100 bills at him. That's what Kelce should have done.
I mean, and Sonny is what? Yeah. Sonny is what? He's a criminal.
All right.
And Sonny was a hothead, too.
Sonny was a hothead. But like, how many people looked at that scene and went, yeah, Sonny, go ahead. As long as you paid for it.
But the problem I have with it, and I've said this before, because you said, well, he didn't hit him, is by Kelce doing what he did, it escalated the situation, which could have resulted in a physical altercation, because the kid does come back at Kelce. In fact, there's a new video out I just saw on Twitter during the break. The kid does come back at Kelce, and they have to be separated. So if Kelce would have done that, and then the kid throws a punch, and now Kelce goes back at him, you just got to de-escalate the situation when you're a celebrity.
But Bill, you're thinking of it like Bill, who's had time to process it, who knows what the right thing to do is, who's the lawyer.
Well,
like,
that's why I
how
said
your head is processing it. He's processing like, what? What did you just call me? But what?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's why I said I wish in the moment I would be able to react this way, too. But that's why I worry, and again, I have no proof of it other than the fact that he was holding beer. I worry that if Kelce's there drinking in a tailgate with a bunch of drunk college kids, knowing now that you are a huge celebrity, you can't do that anymore.
No, and he's probably used to being adored.
Exactly.
Everywhere he goes.
It's not going to be that way anymore for him. He's got to understand that.
Jim in Philly, you're on 97.5 The
How
Fanatic.
you doing? How's my friend Bill doing there? You treating him right?
Bill is doing fine, Jim. He can't play the song today, Serriani Love, but I think we're good.
Not happy with Nick Sirianni yesterday.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's the hot topic of discussion. Yeah, I like Serriani, but I think those were two stupid moves with going for 2 points, two occasions, and it could have backfired on him. And they were lucky that they got the interception. But anyway, listen, here's my point about the Sixers. And welcome back, Mike. You're a breath of fresh air, man.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Nobody addresses this. They have no power forwards on the team. None. Ubaselli is a backup center because Embiid is out, and that can continue to go on the whole season if Embiid succumbs to these knee problems. And you don't know about Paul George. He's 34 years old, and he has a history of injuries, so he may be in and out. That leaves they got 62 wing players, and they got no power forwards, and they never addressed it. The other night it showed up with Stewart, with Detroit. He ate soup off Martin's head. And then again with Jackson. They have nobody like that. They don't like either of those two players.
This is something we talked about before the season. At least I talked about it. And that's why I suggested directly to Maury that maybe they're a better lineup, more balanced by playing Yabusele as a starter at 4 with Joel Embiid. Now, they might still do that. I think it works where you just give that guy a mini role and he can help you.
I agree. But then again, that's subject to Embiid's health, which is tenuous. And you got how many more games left to play? 82 minus 5?
Yeah, the most distressing part of this start is that it's revealed that their role players aren't good enough.
No,
they're not good enough to win a game against a bad team. That wasn't the anticipation when they got all those guys.
Well, yeah, I think maybe what they should do come January, they talked about it, maybe trading one of the wings and maybe a draft pick and getting a really good stretch for somebody that can shoot from the outside and somebody can grab rebounds, because that's going to continue. I don't see any solution to that. Subject to Embiid's health,
Yeah, I hear you. I was looking at that Memphis team. They built that team the right way. They built it the right way. They bring a 7-footer off the bench who can stretch the floor, who killed him, the kid from Virginia, making threes all over the place. They have managed like unexpectedly to make Edey effective.
Yep,
and they've got a bunch of younger wing players that they don't have to worry about minute restrictions.
They don't, but you just said something where the role players are not good enough. But what'd you call them? Role players. And you're asking them to not be role players right now. We don't know what these role players will look like when Joel and Paul George are on the court.
They also have to be able to contribute. They don't look like they're able to contribute that much.
But it's a different game when you got guys who could create.
Listen, you should be a little more representative. At least this coach is supposed to be a good coach, isn't he? you should be a little more representative to beat teams. Now, maybe you don't beat Memphis, but you should be able to beat the other teams that you've lost to.
It should look better, too.
It should,
It does
but
not look pretty.
And this isn't an excuse because it's still unacceptable, but something Mike was saying last week with the way you started this season with Joel not being ready and Paul George hurt, it set a bad tone. And maybe these players and Nick Nurse need to do things to not allow that to creep in, but I'm sure it's affected them to start the season.
Well, but sometimes a bad tone, you can't get past the bad tone. Like now you're thinking that, okay, well, now we could just drop these guys in and things are going to flow. An NBA season is not like that. An NBA season has to be constructed.
It does, but I still think there's enough time. I'm not happy with the way the season started, trust me. But I still think there's enough time that George is probably coming back tonight. Has that been confirmed yet? I don't think we have confirmation. He's
Sources. 76ers, Paul George set to make season debut at Suns.
So
it's pretty real.
Yeah, so you get Paul George back tonight. You'll get Joel back, I assume, in the next couple of weeks. There's still enough time for them to figure this out and change the tone that has been set. But it's not a great start. I agree with you on that. But I'm not ready to judge these role players. Like, I can't say Caleb Martin's not a good acquisition. We haven't seen him on the court with your two best players in George and Embiid.
You love Caleb Martin.
I do because I saw this guy.
I don't understand, like, how... with your affection for...
Because I saw
you
this
have strange
guy...
affection for the strangest people.
Because I saw him dominate the Boston Celtics.
Your mind works in a very interesting way.
In the postseason.
As a system player in that Miami system is where he had success.
And it's going to be up to Nick Nurse to figure him out.
Consistent success. It was like out of nowhere success.
It was, but his career against the Celtics, which is who you're trying to beat, and that's what you're building this team to beat, has been very good. Caleb Martin has dominated the Celtics. And I just want to see, before I judge him, before I say what our caller Jim was saying that they don't have a big enough four, well, we don't know what it's going to look like when you have Joel on the court and you have Paul George on the court and Tyrese Maxey. You have those three guys, it changes everything.
Caleb Martin, you might be right, so far has showed me nothing. Nothing. There's been nothing that he has shown me that I go, well, I'm glad we have him.
But you say he's a system player. He's also trying to learn a new system. So give him time. Be patient.
The Miami system is different. You can flourish. Like average players somehow flourish in that system that they have.
Yeah, they went on that run.
Let's go to Vineet in Malvern. My man Vineet. What's up, Vineet?
How you doing, Mike? How you
Good,
doing?
Vineet. How are you?
Good, man. Mike, just before I go to my Eagles and Sixers point, we squandered, man. Penn State squandered a opportunity to win that game. They had a couple of really good chances, but it was disappointing at the end there. With Serriani, Mike, I'm with you. I think to our sensibilities, it just seems like Serriani just doesn't have the temperament to go from a good to a great coach. And unfortunately, it feels like it's going to cost us against a good team, right? That's where I'm at with Serriani.
Yeah, well, listen, I think everybody has the same worry. But again, we're betwixt and between here. We saw the errors that he made that were foolish, that no CEO who's proper thinking would do what he did. He like disguises that by saying, no, that's just me being aggressive and then I have to have balls. But it doesn't make sense sometimes, and that's what worries me. You're right. Against a good team where you need the most sensible decision, is he capable of doing that?
Exactly. That's what I worry about, that we have such amazing talent and we don't squander this. Mike, my Sixers point, me and a buddy of mine were thinking of getting 2 seats for the partial season ticket. And my Sixers rep is calling every day. And now I'm at the point where I was first evaluating these games where, here's 4 games, 5 games, we win. Here's some games against bad teams. But now with this whole load management, PG injured, I'm just like, how can I even pull the trigger to buy season tickets here? And it's like you said, it's like not necessarily consumer product, but it's borderline. I don't have the information to make the right decision. And I can't buy it because I don't know whether these games are even going to play out. I'm going to go and watch Sixers lose all 10 of these games.
No, it's like a roulette wheel. Wherever the P lands, if you're lucky enough that he's playing in that game, you got a good bargain.
That's exactly what it is, Mike. But excited about what Eagles were able to do. The players, I mean, in the end, it was against the Jaguars because our players just had better talent, and that's shown. and we won. And so looking forward to this week. Looking forward to a good Dallas game on coming.
Yeah,
Sunday.
they'll crush Dallas, Vinny. Don't worry about that. Regarding the Sixers, listen, I have my opinions that they're trying to reduce the season as much as they can so he can last. And maybe that's a good strategy. I don't know. I look at it like, okay, you played in the Olympics. I know you got a knee condition. You had 2 months. You should have been better conditioned to start the season. That's all I'm saying. You just signed a big contract extension. You are expected to be ready. And if you weren't ready, I don't know. I know why. 610-632-0975. All right, the 1 o'clock hour, we're going to decipher the Eagles game yesterday, the result, what the head coach did and didn't do after this.
Holding court.
They won a game, okay? And I don't want to lose sight of that they won the game. And there were many games last year where you go, well, they probably shouldn't have won this game. They skated by. They won the game. And that's what happened yesterday. They beat they outlasted a bad football team because they made plays that the bad football team was incapable of making. But between that, there's so much to decipher and talk about on what their decisions were yesterday. So let's just go over the good. Listen, this is up to the fans today to actually decipher what that game was and get inside it, sort it out, and let us know. For the time being, we'll go to Bill Colarulo, who I call around here Mr. Football. Mr. Football, what did you think about this?
Mike and Bill have been pleading their cases.
I've defended Nick Sirianni. I was in support of him coming back. I talked about all he does is win. He now gets his 40th win in the regular season. And yet I'm sitting here saying, have I been wrong about this guy? Is this guy an idiot? Because you look at the 6 decisions he made. There were 6 decisions that you can question. And 3 of them that you highlighted in your opening are inexcusable. Because this is another win that the Eagles had where they won in spite of their coach. Very similar to the New Orleans Saints game.
Oof. Bill going off on Siri.
It's hard not to today, Mike. I mean, really, it's hard. Watching that game yesterday was one of the most frustrating things in the world to see it. And some of these decisions, why? Why is he outthinking himself?
The Mike Missanelli Show Holding Court is brought to you by Grunko Law, your law firm when you need help because of an injury. We treat every case like it's Dallas Week. Pray for peace, prepare for trial. Now back to Mike Missanelli on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
1 o'clock hour, Mike Missanelli Show. Let's get deep into these Eagles issues. And then we diverted in 12 o'clock hour with the embiid stuff and Jason Kelce stuff. The 1 o'clock hour is brought to you by Ferguson HVAC. Lion Conklin, Tension HVAC Contractors. For equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job, just visit one of Ferguson's counter locations, Ben Salem, King, Prussia, Pensacola, or Westchester. By the way, it's Football Monday. Football Monday on the Fanatic, brought to you by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit nopaybryant.com. You know what a lot of people on my email were calling yesterday's matchup between Nick Sirianni and Doug Peterson?
I could only imagine.
The Battle of the Stunads. Now, I know you...
Stunad Bowl.
The Stunad Bowl yesterday. But let's dive, okay? So,
I'm the dumbest coach in the world.
There were 4 amazing plays in this game that gave the Eagles a victory. The Sidney Brown hit on the kickoff, boom, that gave them a touchdown right away, and then they would score another touchdown, their first offensive touchdown of the year in the first quarter. Devontae's amazing catch for a touchdown. Saquon's catch for a touchdown. And, of course, the play that sealed the game, the Kobe Dean's interception. Now, the weird stuff in this game has to be measured. The weird stuff being Saquon gets the touchdown and a 19-yard run to make it 16-0. There's a penalty. They inch closer to the goal line, and he decides that he's going to go for 2. When 17 points makes it a 3-score game to kick an extra point, what does 18 do for you? Well, it did something for Nick Sirianni that I can't figure out what it possibly could have done for Nick Sirianni, but he goes for 2, and they don't make it. Now it's a 2-score game. So if you're measuring risk-reward, you go, what does 18 points get me that 17 would not? And that's a terrible, terrible decision on the fly by a head coach who's supposed to be a CEO. 4th and 3, Jacksonville 22. They go for it when a field goal gifts you 3 points. They go up 22-0 after the touchdown on their first second-half possession on the Jalen run. Unnecessary roughness moves it closer, and they go for 2 to make it 24 because now they're chasing points. But there was a bad call there to go for the 2. Now the Saquon fumble and the Jags get a touchdown return. A lot of people think that should not have been a touchdown. I happen to think it was a perfect call because he didn't go down based on the tackle attempt. He went down based on him hitting his teammate. And now it's 22 to 16, and he doesn't go for a field goal. Or wait, next possession was a 4th and 1 to Jacksonville 25. Again, he goes for it when a field goal would have put them up by 9, and that pass winds up incomplete. Now, if you look at these decisions, you go, why? Why would he do certain things like that? So, Bill, I go to you. Understand Serriani better than anybody, I think. What's your explanation for this?
It's tough to have one. And he tried to explain it after the game, saying I have to have balls in that situation, where the only thing that I can think of is he feels he always has to be aggressive. That no matter what, I have to stay aggressive. That will then trickle down to my team. They'll understand what our mentality is. We're going to be an aggressive football team. But it's the wrong way to look at things, because you can't just be aggressive for the sake of being aggressive, because what that leads to is being reckless. And you have to look at the moment in the game. You have to look at the opponent. You have to have a feel for what's going on. And to your point, yeah, you always make it a 3-score game when you have an opportunity instead of a 2-score game. The extra point did that for you. When it's a 1-score game and you could just kick a field goal to make it from 1-score to 2-score, you do that when you look at who the opponent is. I keep going back to, because I've seen people on Twitter saying, well, Doug Peterson was aggressive in the Super Bowl. He was aggressive in the Super Bowl because of who your opponent was. It was Tom Brady and an offense you couldn't stop. That wasn't the case yesterday. When you're going up against an anemic offense like the Jags, you don't take risks that keep them in the game. You have to be smarter and measured with your aggressiveness, and he wasn't. So I can't really explain why Serriani was doing what
All right, let's hear him explain it. All right, let's play Nick Sirianni 1, Ray.
We've been pretty good on those. Today, they did a good job. I'll look at everything, but everything in the moment, I'm always doing what I think's best for the football team. Today it didn't work. That's the way it goes. That's the hat I have to wear, right? When we get a 4th down and we convert a 4th down, nothing's really said. When we don't, I understand that there's going to be questions. But again, I have to be able to have the balls to do that, really, at the end of the day, and say, am I doing everything I can do to help us win the game? And in those moments, I thought I was, but I'll go back and relook at them. I'm always going to be hypercritical of myself. And when it doesn't work, I'm definitely going to think even more about it.
Again, it's like, and I wasn't there, so I don't know if somebody attempted a follow-up or not. I don't think they did. But when he says, I do what's best for the football team, I need to ask, why was going for 2 best for the football team? It's a fair question. Like, what is going through your head at the time that you think is best for the football team when you measure the risk-reward to get to 18 instead of 17?
There's no explanation for it. That's the thing. There's really no explanation. When he says, yeah, doing the best for the football team, you're right. Making it a 3-score game is what's best for the football team. Not getting that extra point that doesn't mean anything. 18 points didn't mean anything.
And again, it's hard for me to focus on those things when they win the game and they're 6-2. Now, they won the game because one of their guys made a great play. They could have very easily lost that game, in which case this would have been a completely hostile show from Eagle fans, right? But we are tempered because they're 6-2. They're half a game behind the division leader. They're probably better than the Commanders if they keep this rolling. So, how bad is it? Well, I think what people are worried about is he going to do this in a really, really big spot against a good team?
That is the fear. That is the fear, because your CEO coach, and this is why I've been so critical of Dan Campbell for his decisions in the NFC Championship game. They can't lose you games because of in-game decisions. A CEO coach is supposed to make the right decision a lot more than the wrong, and we haven't seen that with Sirianni so far this year. And what's bothering me, Mike, is we are spending a lot of time talking about Sirianni because that's just how the game played out yesterday. Mm-hmm. But because of that, we're not talking enough about how good Jalen looked yesterday. I mean, Jalen Hurts looked very good.
He looked good. Why, when they graded him, and we'll go over these grades that we give other people to cover the team, why did he get a B?
I would have given Jalen an A yesterday. He has close to 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and I don't even think there was a play you could say was a turnover-worthy play.
There was. Cisco didn't hang on to
what was that one?
He overthrew a pass in the third quarter that may have been picked off.
That's right. The one where they originally thought it was an interception, and then it hit the ground.
Yes. All right, 610-632-0975. We'll get to the text board, and we'll get to your calls after this.
November 4th, big offensive performances from
Mr. Ray Dunn, who's doing double duty tonight. Two play-by-play events for Temple University.
Triple duty today.
Men's basketball, too.
ESPN Plus, color commentator Mark Jackson with you tonight, right?
Yeah.
How's your squad going to be, the Temple Owls?
I think they're going to be good.
Yeah?
I think they will. I think they did a good job in the portal. So, all starts tonight, though.
Are they going to beat Ohio State? I'm sorry. I'm quite confused.
Now, do you have any, signature lines that you're going to drop on us tonight? Like someone hits a 3?
Yeah, you
No, I don't think there's Rayisms yet.
Not yet?
I think
Rayisms?
maybe if someone has listened to me before and has heard them, I don't pick up on them. I'm just talking.
Yeah, I could see you doing an NBA jam. Like, boom, shakalaka.
Yeah, I probably won't.
Ray's not a boom shakalaka type of guy.
I appreciate your energy on that.
Ray could go 3-pointer, bang!
There it is.
Could do that, right? Like my old partner, Steve Fredericks, who popularized the bang back in the day.
Right on cue, MBD said bang before you even said it.
There you go, bang.
On the YouTube chat.
All right, let's get to the text board, Ray. What are the Eagle fans saying?
All right. Nick proved to the fans and to the owner he refuses to learn from his mistakes and keeps repeating them. This was the Falcons game all over again. Didn't kick 2 early field goals, then missed a long one late that shouldn't have mattered or been needed had you kicked the ones earlier. Then let's let him drive right down for the win. Only difference was the interception at the end.
Yeah, well, that interception got them dubbed. So, they won. They won the game. 6-2. They're 6-2, and they won the game. I was watching the post-game show on NBC Sports Philly, and you might not have thought that Serriani made all these mistakes.
They didn't talk about it?
No, they were. It's a win. They were in that it's a win mode.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
Now we go to the grades. This is the Inquire's grades, I guess, the people to cover. Quarterback B. He was effective when he needed to be through the air and on the ground. He had some dubious moments, but the quarterback went a 4th straight game without a turnover. So why B? Completed 18-24 for 230 yards, threw a beauty down the field to Devontae Smith. 2 nice touchdown passes, one to Barkley, one to Smith. He may have taken off too early on a few occasions, but he had some nice scrambles, including a 7-yard third down rumble in which he lunged for the first down. And then he got away with a near interception when Cisco couldn't hang on and overthrown pass on third. Well, why is that a B? That's undergraded.
Yeah, 10 carries, 69 yards before those kneel downs.
And then Saquon got the A minus. I guess the minus because he went down on that play when he probably shouldn't have.
On that second down run.
Yeah. And then he fumbled, which was returned. So talk to me about the fumble. Why do you don't think that was a fumble?
Because I think when he gets tripped up by the hand of the defender, that set it into motion for him then to trip forward onto the feet of, I guess, I don't know who the offensive lineman was, and then he goes down. But I felt like it was
I think it was Juergens.
It was all set up in motion by that initial hand touching his ankle. But what blew me away more than anything, Mike, we're now close to 24 hours removed, and I'm still not sure if they made the right call. They made the decision without even going under the tent. I mean, they made that decision.
I tell you, I saw it live, and I made the call. So when they had to, when he was hit by the defender, he recovered enough to continue the carry, and then is when he got tripped up by his own player, and then it didn't survive the ground. So to me, that was a clear fumble.
Well, so the vice president of instant replay for the NFL, a guy named Mark Butterworth, this was his statement on it after the game. On that play, the running back was touched by a defensive player, number 51, and then he did have contact with number 69 on the offense. It was deemed a stumble on the field. So because it was a stumble when he went down, he would not be down by contact, and therefore it was a fumble.
Yeah, the stumble was caused by his own teammate. That's what I'm saying.
But it's saying here he was touched by a defensive player.
He was, and then afterwards he stumbled because his own player made him stumble. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, but how could you?
Anyway, I thought it was a fumble for a touchdown. But I know people go, "Oh, it's a terrible call." I don't think it was. I really don't.
Yeah, because he goes on to say, Mark Butterworth, if no other player hit him and they ruled it not a stumble, and he went down after contact by number 51 of the defense with no other contact, and he went immediately down, then he would be down by contact.
Yeah. All right, so that's a pretty clear explanation. Receiver, tight end, B. Again, no Goddard. It didn't matter. Calcaterra keeps making a few snags, and we didn't even mention. I know, man. I got to get this in. With the one Penn Stater with the most amazing athletic play I've seen on a football field, where he hurdles a guy backwards. Jahan Dotson, a 36-yard grab.
It's a great catch.
How about that?
And you got to give credit to Jalen for trusting him.
There you go.
Ray, come on. Not today. Not today.
He needs something.
Hey, Franklin, you suck. Yeah? I want your name. I'm going to get you expelled from school.
What did they give the linebackers? What grade?
The offensive line got a B+. Defensive line got a B+. Bourne was all over the field. I haven't even seen this yet. It's got to be an A. Yeah. Linebackers, A.
Yeah.
Zach Bond and, of course, Dean made the play.
I think Zach Berman tweeted this out earlier, but it was the first game where 2 linebackers had an interception for the Eagles since the Pickle Juice game.
Yeah, it was Carlos Emmons, I think, was one of the guys in Trotter, right?
Yeah. Insane.
That is a long time. But you know what's even more insane with this whole situation? Fangio found Zach Bond based off of a handful of plays where, with the Saints, when he was an edge rusher, he dropped in the coverage, and Fangio told Roseman, I think he can play off-ball linebacker. That blows my mind that this guy was able to identify Zach Bond, because he could potentially be a Pro Bowler the way he's playing right now. And you got to give Nakobe Dean credit, Mike, because the play he makes the interception on, Nakobe said after the game, was the play he got beat on at the open practice by Jalen Hurts and Kenny Gainwell. And then after the open practice in the preseason, he spoke to Hurts and Gainwell about that play. And because of that, he was able to identify what the Jags were trying to do and makes the interception. That's a great job by Nakobe Dean. Do we have good linebackers in Philadelphia right now?
All of a sudden, Nakobe Dean has risen up now.
It's crazy, man.
In a very quick period of time. Now, I was the best group of linebackers we've ever had. But nobody gave 2 cents to Nakobe Dean.
He looked like a bust. Nakobe Dean looked like he was going to be a bust. We had high hopes when they drafted him in the 3rd round a couple years ago. Doesn't play as a rookie.
Still worries me a little bit. But anyway.
But Bond looks good.
Yeah, the cornerback's got a B+. Probably that knocked down to an A with Devontae Maddox with that pass interference. It makes me nuts, too. 610-632-0975. Back into this. Missanelli Show. Let's get back to the text board and see what they're saying. Ray, you got some new texts here before we get to the phones?
Yes, and I'm always interested by the first-time texter, what brings them into the program, what they need to have said to be the first thing they interact with us. And this person, first time, no name attached to it. Is it just me, or is the tush-push a little less effective this year without Jason Kelce? Is there a tush-push fatigue out there for people right now?
You know, I've been reading this. Give the ball, Barkley. The tush-push still is an effective play.
It wasn't yesterday.
Well, it wasn't yesterday, but very rarely our team's going to stop that.
They stopped it twice yesterday.
But it's not like they're doing anything there. They just had more will on that particular play. Usually, the advantage is such with the offensive team on that play because they can get momentum, a little more momentum behind it than the defense can. So to keep doing it, I don't have a problem with it. Why are you trying to outsmart yourself now by not doing it?
Well, because they stopped it twice. And I think even in previous weeks, to that texter's point, it just hasn't looked as dominant as it did with Kelce there. Like the way Kelce could get low and get that push and that drive, it almost looked like they were picking up 2-3 yards a clip. Now, the last couple of weeks, it's like, all right, they get the first down, but barely. Barely.
Well, it's up to Cam Jurgens to get low. What do you want from me? I don't think it's a bad play. I think it's a consistent winner play. All right. Let's go to, where are we going? I think we got our calls are all messed.
I think Steve is up. Serriani's a gambler.
Yeah, but we got a blinking check in another. We have no name. Oh, it is Steve? Okay.
Yeah, go with Steve.
Let's go to Steve. What's up, Steve?
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Good, Steve.
Yeah, I sort of compare to a gambler that's losing at the craps table and just keeps overbetting to try to make things up because he doesn't have the power as he used to as a coach. But secondly, he's just missing out on like coaching 101. When you get a chance to put extra points up on the board after you get that gut punch in from a boxer's perspective, and then you put a couple of jabs in, meaning the extra points and the field goals, that is something that dismotivates the other team. They get down on that because they just keep getting hit and hit and hit and hit and hit. And lastly, I think the fact that he says he's a team player, I remember when Randall Cunningham got his knee taken out by a guy coming through the line early on him, and he was never the same after that. And what happens with all these extra tush pushes and things and blah, 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 that he runs in short yardage situations where the guy supposedly was hurt last year a little bit. And you lose Jalen Hurts to something like that, and this is what I think Philly fans recognize. What's your take on that?
I don't agree. I don't know that you get hurt on the tush push. You get low and you pile in and people are moving you.
Have you noticed lately that Jalen has been standing up on that?
Well, then he needs to get. I just don't see where that's at that much a threatening play. Now there's a lot of weight that's on top of you. I get it. I just don't think that's a play where you're in such close capacity that injuries usually happen in different, situations like that.
Why take that chance?
Yeah, but why take a chance when you're running the football out of the pocket? It's the same thing. Like you're taking a chance anytime you're running. I don't think it's that threatening of a play.
I mean on extra points and field goals and things. Those extra 5-6 snaps. That's 5-6 snaps that you end up putting your quarterback at jeopardy where you don't need to.
Why is he in jeopardy?
Well, you mean on the line?
Yeah, why is it?
Do you remember when Randall Cunningham?
Yeah, but Randall Cunningham was rushed from an outside rusher. It's not even the same thing. He got hit in the pocket when he was like standing straight up. It was Bryce Popp and the Green Bay Packers hit him in the knee when he was in the pocket. It had nothing to do with a quarterback sneak, a tush push.
Now, I don't have a problem with them doing it because of potential injury. But I am agreeing with the texter from earlier. I just don't know if it's as effective as it used to be. It just doesn't look like they get the same level of push. But I'm not worried about injuries to Jalen on that play.
Well, I don't even because Dallas Goedert's not there. Well, Jack Stoll can't do the same thing Dallas Goedert does in that play.
Well, you're missing your center. You're missing.
Well, is the center a stiff? He's a good player.
there was something, and I think Juergens is a good player, but there was something about the tush-push last season, and maybe some of it's personnel related with the change from Juergens, from Kelce to Juergens. It also could be teams figured out how maybe to stop it.
You got to give me a statistic on the most recent 20 tush-pushes to see what the percentage is, because as it stands now, it's 88% effective. Now, you're going to tell me any other play they would run would be 88% effective?
No, but I think that if it's not going to be automatic, you can't be as aggressive if you're Nick Sirianni. So, for instance, when it's a 16-0 game and you kick the extra point and the team goes off sides, Sirianni's thought process is, oh, well, give us the ball at the 1. It's a guarantee. Well, it's not a guarantee anymore. When it's 4th and short, instead of kicking the field goal, they decide the brotherly shove isn't a guarantee anymore. We're going to throw it instead. They did on that 4th and short.
But to me, it's foolish. If you go, okay, this play works. It's 88% successful. You want to stop us, mofos? Then stop us. And if you do, a salud. But we're going to do it again and again because you're not going to stop it maybe more than twice. All right, let's go to Nick in Jersey. Nick, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Nick.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
How you doing, Nicky?
Appreciate the call, man. So I just had an analogy. So, like, with all of his gambles yesterday, Coach Serriani, at times I didn't get it from an analogy perspective. So, like, let's say if you're going for it and it's fourth and 5 from like the 7-yard line, right? Mm-hmm. I would have taken the points because what if you gamble and then you miss and then you give the other team that good momentum in the good field position, so like it's like for you just have to take the points and let your defense try to stop them, especially if it's like somebody like a Jacksonville offense that's not really potent, because their offense is not really strong like a team like Detroit or Minnesota. Because I don't know if you're a big college football guy. I saw on Saturday, I'm a big Penn State fan. I saw James Franklin gamble at the end of the game, and look what it resulted in. You're playing Ohio State.
How did he gamble?
Because didn't he go?
You do know I'm a Penn State guy, right? You don't know I'm a college football guy? Come on, man.
Yeah. I know that, but like, didn't he gamble at towards the end of the game where he should have took the points and then the Ohio State stopped him at the yard line and then
No. He needed to score a touchdown there.
Okay. So
you got that wrong. No, listen. You can't look at it like, well, even if we don't make it, they have to start from their 8 or 7. You do what's prudent at the time. The score dictates what's prudent. And what's prudent is you either kick a field goal to put yourself up by 9, or in that situation, you kick the extra point. It puts you up 17-0, which is a 3 score. Like, these are the things we're talking about. Not when it doesn't make sense. What you do is what we're exploiting here.
Now, there's one decision where you and I do disagree on. The end of the game, the 57-yard field goal by Jake Elliott. It's a 28-23 game. The field goal still keeps it a 1-score game. You're only up by 8. But if you miss the field goal like they did, you're giving the Jags great field position.
But you know what? It's hard to punt when you're in close quarters like that.
Well, you're on the 39.
He's probably going to knock it in the end zone.
You're on the 39.
Yeah.
I think I would have more faith in my punter to pin them inside the 10 than Jake Elliott kicking a 57-yarder. That's not an easy kick. And he's 0 for 2 over 50 yards this year. Now he's 0 for 3.
Yeah, but you have enough trust in him that he can make a 57-yarder, right? It's not like you doubt your kicker's ability to make that.
You're acting like 57's a chip shot.
Well, he's made it. What has he made in the past? Look at all his field goals.
But this season he's 0 for 2 from 50 plus.
That means the next one's going through. I can't look at, since he's 0 for 2, he's incapable of making that kick.
Well, okay, then play it through, though. You make the kick. You still got to kick off to the Jags. You're still giving him the ball back, and all they got to do is come down. Now, they can't beat you. They can only tie you. When it's a 28-23 game, they can beat you.
I'm going for the kill. He makes the field goal, I win.
I'd rather pin him deep
that's conservative.
and make him go 80 yards.
That's scared.
Make him go 90 yards.
You don't look like a scared guy to me. That's very disappointing.
But look how it played out.
Oh,
He gave him the ball at midfield.
You got the result. Of course, how it played out. It's easy to say what you're saying now. At the time, I would kick the field goal.
At the time, I texted my father.
At the time, you got to blame Saquon Barkley for setting up that long of a field goal. If he doesn't do what he did, it's a shorter field goal.
Punt. Send him deep.
Greg on a cell. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Greg.
Mikey Miff, I know you're a huge Penn State fan like me. I just didn't know if you noticed that we basically have the same coaches. The Eagles coach and the Penn State coach are basically the same guy. They take everything personally. They get in arguments with fans, and they just do screwed up stuff. Like, in your opinion, should Franklin be gone?
He's not going anywhere. I love the people that go, he's got to be gone. He's not going. I don't even think about it because it's not going to happen. He's got a $50 million buyout in his contract, and Penn State's administration loves him. They love him.
Okay. All right. I just didn't.
Not going to happen. He's not going anywhere. James Franklin's going to be there and be there and be there. Unless he gets an offer to go to some other school and he wants to leave Penn State. The administration loves the fact that he runs that kind of a program.
Well, we think the administration would love the fact that he could actually be.
They love the fact that it's a clean, pristine, Happy Valley program. That's what they love.
All right. Well, that sucks.
Yeah. Greg was hoping you were going to jump on.
No, listen. Am I a fan of his? No, I'm not a fan. I can't do anything about it. I never worry about stuff that I can't do anything about because all it does is it's like an acid drip inside your belly. You worry about it. I know he's not going. People say, "Oh, he's got to go. He's got to be fired." But they're not going to fire him. This is not a school that would pay a $50 million buyout to get him out of a contract. Plus, they like him. You see what he did after the game? After the game, what did they do? They went over to the crowd. They sang the little song. He was over there with them, swaying. That's what they want.
Exactly. Well, the problem is
I don't want that. I barf at that kind of stuff. You frickin' lost the game again to Ohio State. Do you not realize this? We're going to sing Kumbaya to the fans?
And both the coaches, they're the same thing. Like Serriani saying, well, I'll wear that hat. And Franklin's saying, yeah, 99% of the colleges in the country would be happy to have the
I understand. That's what they say. This is what bugs me about Penn State. It's always, everybody would love to have a program like that.
At least the Eagles won.
Listen, man. They're going to be in the playoffs. I can't imagine they could lose another game. Could they after this? Maybe they can. Maybe they could lose to Minnesota. Maybe they could lose to Washington or whoever the frick they play the rest of the year. Chances are they're not. So they're going to be in the playoffs. They have no chance to win a national championship, but at least they'll be in the playoffs. And we'll have a fighting chance to beat somebody in the first round.
Good luck to the Nittany Lions. Well, I got some breaking news, though, Mike.
Oh, good.
We got some breaking news from Ian Rappaport. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott's hamstring injury was worse than initially feared. He is expected to miss multiple weeks, sources tell me and Tom Pelissero. This is not looking like a short-term injury. Cooper Rush is the team's backup. So get ready for Cowboys week against Cooper Rush.
I'm more afraid of Cooper Rush than I am of Dak Prescott.
Yeah, the way Dak's been playing.
Cooper Rush did play him well in a game, didn't he? A couple years ago when he was the starter.
Yeah, I think the Eagles won that game, though. But
before they went with Ben DiNucci.
Right? Did Cooper Rush beat the Eagles? I remember that game, but I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he won the game, but I think he played well. It was like to the end.
So no Dak. I wonder if that's the line being 6.5 right now on the road. I wonder if that's because they knew Dak wasn't going to play.
Probably. Yeah, that probably set that line with that uncertainty out there.
Yeah, I wonder if it goes up. You may want to get in on the 6.5 now. Yeah, it's still at 6.5. Anyway,
Dallas week.
Actually, it's 7 now. It's already gone up a little bit.
It means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. Like this, I always abhorred the people that gave them the credit. Oh, it's tough. You give them too much freaking credit. They're an average team now. That's what they are.
They're actually below average.
They shouldn't incite your hatred. You're in the driver's seat, Philly fans, with this rivalry.
Yeah, but you know what's beautiful? I know you're saying that it doesn't do anything for you. The Eagles could theoretically put a nail in the coffin of the Cowboys season. I mean, it's basically already there.
They're they're out of it anyway.
But the Cowboys lose to the Birds. They're sitting there at, what would be their record then? 3-6? I think it's over for them. I mean, it's probably over anyway, but it'd be nice that the Eagles deliver the final blow.
See, you buy into it.
Come on. They're so easy to hate.
Cowboys hate
So easy to hate.
You're only giving them credit, Bill.
I still remember. I was working for them at the time. I was on the sidelines.
Working for the Cowboys?
I was working for the Eagles.
Oh.
On the sidelines, T.O.'s first game back. They got the ball down in the red zone towards the end of the game. Cowboys score and win. Drew Bledsoe throws the interception to Lito Shepherd, who takes it 102 yards the other way, and the whole link is singing, Lito! Oh! That's one of my favorite Cowboys memories, man.
Who does that song?
That is Bo Scruggs. No.
Boz Skaggs.
Bog Skaggs. I was close.
Bo Scruggs.
Come on, give me credit. I was close. Right, I was close, dude. Come on, that was close enough.
Bo Scruggs. It's time.
Who?
It's time, Ray, for closing arguments.
Now, closing arguments on the Mike Missanelli Show. Brought to you by Lowenthal and Abrams Injury Attorneys. Injured in an accident, call 800-876-LAWYER or visit LowenthalAbrams.com.
Oh, boy. I am betwixt and between. I'm Tony Dogs with his head in a vice. I don't know where to go with this because I look at the great plays that I witnessed, the kickoff when they get the turnover, Devontae's amazing catch, Saquon playing his guts out with the most athletic play I've ever seen on a football field, and then Nakobe Dean assaulting it away with a great interception. And yet, I look at some of the things that went on in this game, like going up 16-0 and going for 2. I still can't get over it. He still didn't explain it other than to say he's got to show balls. And then when you don't kick a field goal to go up by 9 and make it a 2-score game, there are things that I am perplexed by with this guy. They won the game, and I guess he survives because they're 6-2, and that's why my head's in a vice. I don't know how to feel about this team or this head coach as they go further and get into meaningful football games. Can somebody help me out here? I need a therapist.
I wish I could help you, Mike. Normally, I am the voice of reason when it comes to our head coach, but I'm right there with you. Some mind-boggling decisions by Nick Sirianni. But we're going to end with a positive. Jalen Hurts, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers.
Keep the main thing.
Saquon Barkley, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 wins in a row, 6-2. In spite of that.
When you play to the standard.
In spite of who?
In spite of the head coach.
Who? What?
I'm the dumbest coach
in
the world.
In spite of the head coach? Did you just use that phrase?
Should we play Sirianni Love before we get out of here?
No.
I can't do it. I can't say.
No,
I can't
you're
sing
prohibited from doing that today because I can't even get past in spite of the head coach. What?
It was, Mike.
You're making me even more confused now. Have you turned officially?
It was. I hate to admit it. I'm starting to think maybe I got it wrong. I'm not there yet, but maybe I got it wrong.
Hold on. Listen. Keep the Bill thing going. All right? Don't give up on your boy yet. Show some love. Show some loyalty. Everybody have a great rest of the day. Thanks for participating. We'll talk to you tomorrow.